welcome to 24 hours into the Texas Longhorn football season. Yes, no more dead season. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Chad Hastings. It's House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live. We're doing happy dances. We're celebrating. I'm drinking iced tea. You'll probably see that throughout the show today. An occasional chewing of the ice. We'll be talking Texas football, Texas recruiting, a little bit of Olympics because maybe I've hit the wall today. I'm not exactly.
But there's only so much medal count you can deal with.
It feels like today's stuff I'm not as entranced with. And, maybe it's just that was bound to happen. I don't know.
You got to breathe in and breathe out because you got a lot more swimming coming, brother. And you got all the track and field still to come. You need to pace yourself. Don't cramp up.
I need is some track and field today. And the fact that if I lean over to Gold Zone, I've got gymnastics, men's tennis, badminton, and women's doubles tennis. It's just not.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. That's it. The Olympics causes feelings. By the way, speaking of feelings, text guy says, I'm so into my feelings, I hit the like button 3 times.
Well, that's good because that would be like on, off, on.
Yes.
You hit it 4 times, you've accomplished nothing, which is another way of saying, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. We absolutely endorse that. And, oh, by the way, if you're watching this live, jump into the Specs chat. The water's warm. We're having a good time in the pool. We'll be taking Texas questions and thoughts after day 1. And in a little bit, I'm going to get into what my thoughts were almost 364 days ago.
Oh, no. You went back and looked at what your practice concerns after practice 1 of last year?
It wasn't practice concerns. It was like, what were my initial 30-second elevator, hey, what happened at practice today? Okay. It was like my initial bullet points.
Okay, gotcha.
I looked them up because there was a part of me that wondered, is any of this stuff that we're going to talk about today, is it really going to matter?
Of course it is, Catch. Of course it is. Of course it is. You got to oversell the show. Yes.
It's the greatest thing that's ever happened. By all means, super chat away. Look, I was watching football with friends yesterday. I super chatted.
Yes, there you go. Hunter's in for the first time live in a while. What up, Hunter? Glad you're here.
Let me tell you, I was watching Alex and Cody do the show. I had a very specific question that I wanted to ask Alex. It was about Silas Bolden and whether or not he was running with the second team. I wanted to know specifically, was he behind Jonte Cook on the outside, or was he behind Isaiah Bond on the outside?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want my question to get lost inside of the other questions.
Right.
I want my question answered. So you know what I did? Super chatted $5. Do you know what happened? They went right to my super chat. Mm-hmm. I got my question answered. I engage in what I tell you guys to engage in. That's all I'm saying.
Apparently, Mark saw it. Mark is verifying. It did happen. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you.
So when I tell you guys, super chat those bitches in. We will get to them right away.
Is this true? Did Alex take a while to answer?
Alex takes a while to answer everything. It's Alex's way.
I got you.
He went to the question quickly.
Yeah. So
no, I don't remember it taking him a while, to be completely honest.
Okay, fair enough.
I know what Mark is saying. That's not what happened. He very quickly was like, oh, he was behind Isaiah Bond. And
Colby says, in the end, you pocket the $5 super chat in a way, so win-win, right?
It's not exactly that. That $5, YouTube was going to take its cut.
Right, I was going to say, Catch gets a cut of that, not all of that.
So, yeah, I pocketed some of my super chat, but certainly not the whole damn thing.
Yeah, Catch, since we are in the fan club, Ashley threw this in. Let's just throw it in. Bolden is going to be great running routes. Worthy did, screens, etc. So when you start looking at reactions today, and we gave the title today of Don't Freak Out, because it was the first day of practice and there's some recruiting stuff that people may not want to freak out. Where do you want to start today? Practice?
We're going to start with practice. We'll get to Jamie French and we'll talk some Texas football recruiting in time. But let's start with day one, because when we spoke yesterday, we didn't have a practice.
Okay.
There won't be a second practice until tonight, but we have the initial impressions at camp. I think if we're talking about things that are being discussed the most, I think Anwar talked about some of this in the old fashioned, like Silas Bolden, day one first impression, opened eyes, running with the second team offense. He flashed speed and burst and all of the playmaking, all of the things that you want to see. And then afterwards, Sarkisian was pretty happy with him.
Yeah.
And made a point to talk about him in a way and describing him as fearless and evoking the name Steve Smith. It was hard not to come away talking about Silas Bolden a little bit, given that he performed quite well in the open section that the media was able to watch. And he's a guy. He's every bit, I think, the potential impact player that we've talked about him throughout the offseason. Weirdly, I can't imagine that any other player that showed up at SEC Media Day with a speaking part showed up on day one of their practice running with the third team other than Jahdae Barron yesterday. It was an interesting talking point because we talked about Jalen Gilbo yesterday before the first practice and what would it mean if Jalen Gilbo takes over and the implications of that. Well, on day one, Jalen Gilbo running back, first team nickel, he's the star. Jahdae Barron was doing some stuff that would indicate, yes, he's a preseason all-SEC type of guy. He was a team leader that goes to SEC Media Days. But when they went to team, he was working with third team outside corner. And that led to a lot of discussion. And Chad, my initial takeaway from that is Jahdae Barron's going to play outside corner this year for Texas. Maybe not entirely. I'm sure he'll get some nickel. He'll play some star. But if he were a star, I think he's not running with the third team outside corner group. By putting him at third team outside corner, it tells me that they didn't want to insult the guys that played on the outside in the spring. So this is about Gavin Holmes, who, by the way, started last year as a transfer coming in day one, third team corner.
Right. And Gavin was the other corner starting out yesterday, opposite
Yes.
Muhammad. Is that true?
He was running first team opposite Malik Muhammad, and then Kobe Black was running second team.
Okay.
I think
and then Barron.
Yes, and one of the reasons why I think we're getting ready to see a lot more of Jahdae Barron full-time outside. And again, hot take day one, let's overreact on a couple of things that happened in practice. But my interpretation of having Jahdae run with the third team, we all know he's not third team. We do. But if you were going to change a position, I think the thing you wouldn't want to do is disenfranchise guys that have already been working at that spot and say, before he's ever had a practice, really full-time, that's his new position. He's ahead of you immediately. That it's like Craig on Friday getting fired on his day off. First day of practice, you're running one team further back than you ended spring drills on. So I think they put Jahdae Barron outside. He's working with the threes. Not every rep, because when they went to one-on-ones, it was him, I think, against Isaiah Bond, and they were kind of ones versus ones in it, right? Alphas versus alphas. In team drills, they had him with the threes, which, oh, by the way, based on the way Sark told us that the teams were practicing, guess who the ones were exclusively scrimmaging against yesterday?
Yeah, kind of interesting.
The threes.
Oh, I thought it was 1s and 4s.
It's 1s and 3s, 2s and 4s.
Oh, my bad. 1, 3, 2, 4. All right, I had it mixed up. Sorry.
So in having him with the 3s, he was scrimmaging against the 1s. So something that you could make a case that the best place to be on defense yesterday, if you were a young player or someone changing positions or a transfer, running with the 3s meant you were getting the best of the best in scrimmage competition throughout the day. Something to think about. Javion Cole, transfer cornerback, running with the 3s. Bill Norton, running with the 3s on the defense early on. It's also something that we saw them do a year ago. They make their transfers earn it a little bit. It speaks to Trey Moore, the quality of Trey Moore and Isaiah Bond, that they enter camp running with the 1s on the first day of the August workouts, chat. I guess July workouts, although now it's August 1st. Those guys have made real immediate contributions and worked their ass off because day one in July, they're running with the 1s, whereas almost every other transfer, even a guy like Andrew Makuba, still working with the 2s, hasn't been gifted anything. I think there's almost if you're completely new, you start with the 3s. If you don't just come in and absolutely take the bull by the horn and make it obvious that you're the first guy, you're with the 2s. And Isaiah Bond and Trey Moore working with the 1s yesterday, I think was symbolic of what they did during the spring. But my big overreaction is, in order for Texas to have their best 5 on the field, the Texas coaches told us this kind of in the spring. Pete Kwiatkowski mentioned this the eve of yesterday's first practice. Texas can't have its best 5 DBs on the field and Jalen Gilbo not be on the field. That he's become that important to the defense that's my biggest takeaway is I don't know automatically who the other 4 are. Pretty much think Malik Muhammad would be in that group. I think we pretty much think Derek Williams would be in that group. But Jalen Gilbo is definitely in that group. They are moving Jahdae Barron to a different position. And you can say, well, this is what Jahdae Barron wanted. He's trying to boost up his draft stock. That this is the only way for him to get higher than he otherwise would have been. You could also say all of those things can be true, but they had Barron working at the star position in the spring, Chad. I mean, if it was as simple as that, they could have had him on the outside playing corner throughout the entire spring. And Gilbo won that job in the spring. In the spring, they looked at Jalen Gilbo and said, holy crap, the guy that we thought existed in 2022 is back in 2024.
Yep.
And now they're making the requisite move that supports that. And it means moving a guy that you took to SEC Media Days away from the position that's his. He's made that his. Jalen Gilbo has kind of taken that away. It may end up being all of these things may be true at the same time. That this is better for Jahdae. That maybe this is the thing that can boost his NFL draft stock. That ultimately this is what he was hoping for when he came back. All of those things can be true. And at the same time, it can be true that Jalen Gilbo kind of won that job in the spring. And that he's now one of the first 5 names that go on the team sheet. It now becomes really interesting to see if Jahdae Barron wins that other starting cornerback job, knowing that they recruited Javion Cole to come in as a transfer to be that guy, and knowing that Gavin Holmes, who transferred in last year from Wake Forest, is the guy starting with the 1s in the spring. Can he be better than those guys? We think the answer is yes, but I think that is one of the big camp storylines from day one moving forward.
If you want to jump in the Specs chat, feel free. It is filling up right now. If you get us a super chat, like Ketch said, it will go right to the top of the list. Just grabbing a couple of chats. Well, this is just nice. I mean, guys just jumping in. Watching you two brightens my mornings. Ooh, talk slow, guy. We appreciate it. Thank you. We're glad we can brighten anybody's morning or day or whatever time zone you're in. Thank you for that. Anwar Richardson, he's checking out this podcast just like Ketch was checking out Football with Friends. 2:45 for practice today.
7?
Tomorrow's the evening. Tomorrow is the evening when Ketch.
Well, that's why it's good to have Anwar hanging out in the chat to correct my ass.
Thank you, Anwar. We appreciate that. Somebody else throwing in a Silas Bolden had me at Utah. Yes, the Utah film is unreal from last year. And then another one on Silas. I think Bolden's going to have a monster season. Not worthy, but I think he makes up a lot more of that lost production than people think. Michael, we appreciate that. And Ketch, like you mentioned, obviously the discussion you're having about Barron and Gilbo and everything on the defensive backside, it does mirror with the receivers because of some of those matchups like you talked about. So in terms of going back to your comment on Barron and SEC Media Days, I wonder if the mindset Sark put in his head was, you're not going to SEC Media Days as my nickel. You're not going as my star. You're going as my cornerback. You're going as, like, both of those guys maybe have enough confidence in the idea to say, hey, you're going to be that other cornerback. Go represent my team. Maybe that's the thinking.
Well, look, I think Johnny Barron's going to be a captain on this team. He's a good player. He's, I find think about Johnny Barron is there's a lot of Texas fans that treat him like he's Michael Huff or Earl Thomas or Quandre Diggs. And he's not those guys, but he's good.
Right.
I think he's a good player that is back this season because he wasn't great a year ago. Now, he made second team All Big 12, and he's a preseason second team All SEC choice, but he had his hand in – he specifically created one turnover a year ago. Great players, the names that I just evoked, the Earl Thomases of the world, at this level, they're making plays game by game.
Yeah.
That's just not who he was a year ago. Had he been that type of player, he'd be in the NFL and training camp right now. He didn't feel like he had a year that would boost his draft stock, and it made sense to come back and try to give it a go with NIL in play. It's like, well, I can make as much money at Texas in year one than I can as a late draft choice. So he came back to try to boost his stock, but he's a good player. He's not great. And it makes me wonder a little bit, is Gilbo an upgrade at star? The fact that they seem to have made the call, he's going to be the starting star. We can always go back to Jade at that position, but Gilbo's the guy. It makes me think Gilbo should be better this year. They've made the decision. We think that guy is going to be the best at that position that we have. Does that also allow us to move Jade Barron to outside corner? And maybe that also makes us better. I think Jade's got to prove that. He was pretty good last year at his best position. Mm-hmm. If they thought he could have started at the outside corner, and Sam, I see your super chat. We'll go to it in just a second. Given how desperate they were at times for the corner position to be better on a pass defense that ranked what it ranked a year ago, I would have thought that's a move they could have made last year when they at times were really, really needed to be better there. They didn't. They're doing it now. I'm really curious to see what it looks like. Can Jade Barron be a better outside player than he was on the inside? I don't know. Maybe. Is that better than – in my mind, if I close my eyes and I think about Jade Barron on the outside, I do think he's better than Gavin Holmes. And I think he's better than what Kobe Black is right now. So I think it stands to reason that with this move, if you take out the safeties and say our corners would be Barron, Gilbo, and Muhammad, I think that's a better trio than Holmes, Gilbo, Muhammad, or Holmes, Barron, Muhammad. So on the surface, even though I have questions about Jahdae Barron on the outside and just what level we're talking about, I think it improves the starting lineup at the end of the day.
Catch, we'll get to this super chat here. Also, somebody had a good chat about Jahdae I want to get to, but Sam did throw us $5, and we appreciate you, Sam. Super chat, $5. Love the show, boys. Been away to watch Olympics, but I am back. Dad's birthday coming up. I need a poncho shirt. Is there a promo code running right now? Keep it up. Sam, no particular promo code. If they ask, like, where'd you hear it? If you could throw a little Orange Bloods live into that, or maybe throw in the Outsiders, that would be great, but no specific promo code. But enjoy that.
87% off if you mention Orange Bloods.
Yeah, give it a shot. Just give it a shot. See what happens.
Mentioned it, show him the promo we do have, Chad.
Yes, we'll get that. Yes, and we'll definitely get that promo to you as well.
And real quick, before you do that,
nothing.
You messed up, man. You messed up.
I am not shocked, and I'm not shocked you're pointing it out. What did I do?
Well, I think this is important.
Of course you do. Why else would you stop everything and tell me I messed up? What did I do?
The super chat starts with, yo! You skipped that. You went right to I love the show. Why are you trying to rot? What did he start with? What's the first word?
The first word is yo.
There's an exclamation mark at the end of it.
Okay. You're saying I need to have a little more feeling?
Period. Skip over it. When my man puts an exclamation mark after the yo, he wants to hear the yo.
All right, fine. Hang on one second. Let me try it again. I'm terribly Sam, I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can get you your $5.
Sam, I'm a man of the people. I'm here to protect your $5.
Sam, next time you send a super chat that starts with a yo, I'm going to let Catch deal with it because he is a yo expert. Let me see if I can just workshop this.
Come on.
Sam sent us a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sam. It reads, yo!
Yes, that's
Love the show, boys. Been away to watch Olympics, but I am back. Dad's birthday and need a poncho shirt. Is there a promo code running right now? Keep it up.
That's how you get Sam to send 10 next time.
There it is. Thank you so much for that, Sam. And thank you for asking the question about poncho. But again, to a deal, let's throw it up for the first time today. 2 months free of orangebloods.com. August and September to find out what all the fuss is about. There's your promo code. Join OB24. All these practice reports. Somebody in the chat asked earlier because they saw that Anwar was there. They asked Anwar, hey, Anwar, did Sark have availability? Yep. Did Anwar cover it? Uh-huh. And is there a full breakdown of what he said? Absolutely. It's at orangebloods.com waiting on you right now. That's your QR code. Join OB24, 60-day free trial. It ends on Monday. This offer ends on Monday. We can always procrastinate, guys. Just get it taken care of today. Tell yourself you're going to get taken care of on a Thursday. August 1st, it's out of your way, and you're getting 2 months for free. And that, of course, includes the Michigan game and a whole lot of cool stuff with practice getting started. Okay, so we got all that covered. I think I've got the yo part figured out, Mark, if you want to
that was
board
excellent.
Super chat.
And by the way, look, the people loved it, Chad. The people loved it.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you.
And Sam, the super chatter.
Music to my ears. I try. Thank you, Sam. I do try to get into certain chats, and I will admit maybe I did just fly right by. I will try not to do that anymore. I will try not to do that.
You're not wrong. I interrupted you. I stopped at the show, and a lot of times I will needlessly do that, which you low-key pointed out with your passive-aggressive comments and defending yourself before I was able to make claim of what needed to be done. Don't think I didn't notice that passive aggressive. You're cutting me off because you think it's that important. This time it turned out to be true. It was music to his ears.
It was true. I admitted right away that I was wrong. Though. Again, it wasn't passive aggressive. I was certain I had done something wrong. I was certain of it. You've been pointing it out since 2008. I know something went wrong. I just didn't know what it was. Very melodic. Thank you.
The people are sending their flowers.
The melodic tones, except for Jay. Jay's supporting your side of the discussion. Chad does that. I sent super chat and said things a very specific way for a reason. Chad read it and changed it like I made a mistake. LOL. Jay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You asshole.
You're what a dick. I'm so sorry. You just can't let an Aggie push the buttons at all. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm falling
Doc,
on the sword.
come in there and slap you. I need Doc to come in there like Red Foreman and just put a hand on the back of your head.
No, please, no. I don't need to get slapped upside the head. You want him to take that horn light off the wall back there and come and smack me over the head with it?
No, I want Red Foreman. I just want a dumbass and like a slap.
Logan says, Catch tears you down to build you back up just to tear you right back. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
He gets the show.
That is it. By the way, somebody else that gets it, Hunter, we thank you for this. Just use the code. Gonna check things out for the next couple months. There you go, Hunter. It's all you got to do. It's all you got to do. Just go checking it out. And Jay, you know what? You're trying to be nice. Jay says it's fine. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's not fine, Jay. I got to be better. That's what we've established in these last couple minutes. I will strive to be better and notice punctuation. I will. I promise.
The thing is, Chad, I left for a few days. Wouldn't call it a vacation because
you worked really hard like you always do.
But there were a couple of days
where
I kind of genuinely felt like most of the days I took them off.
That's
and during
good.
that time, I had some self-reflection.
Yes.
It's like, going into year 2, I really want this thing to be better, the best it's ever been. Mm-hmm. What needs to happen in order for us to be better? And I was like, Chad's got to be better.
You thought this is the answer. Here's the answer right there. Is that it? Is that your answer?
No, you're wrong. See, this is our problem, Chad.
We need to get more intense. Do we need to go this? This is what we need to do right here? Just more intense? More in people's faces?
No, we don't need that either.
Okay.
We just need you to read the O's.
That's really what it's boiled down to. I don't know how to say it to him. How do I say that I want him to be better in year 2? Now you've got it. Dude, if you don't start saying the Yo's, then we're in trouble.
Look at Jay Lee. Look, as soon as it happened, Jay Lee was like, this shit happens to me all the time.
The dude does it to me all the time.
Quit editing my posts as if I don't know what I want to say, Chad.
Got to read it as it is typed. I understand it. I will do my best. Oh, my Lord. All right. Let me see if I can do my best with AV consultations. And then I wanted you to get
make love to your wives, people.
That's it. I want to get this chat in about Jahdae Barron. But first, let me tell you about AV consultations. 255-8678. That is their number. It's 30 days from today, if we haven't mentioned that. Real easy math. It's August 1st, and they play on the 31st. It's 30 days till Texas plays Colorado State. I'm not sure if AV consultations can get you set up in 30 days. That might be a little too much to ask, but they'll get you set up the right way. They'll get that big screen setup you've always wanted, that multi-screen setup you've always wanted, that man cave, the family movie room, badass furniture set up the right way, the badass speakers set up perfectly, and all the wires are out of the way so your kids and your cats and your dogs or whatever animals are running around aren't grabbing the cords and tearing it all down. They make sure it's perfect. 255-8678. They've been doing it since 1988. Thanks to AV Consultations for being one of our great partners. avconsultations.com or just call them 255-8678. All right. Now, let's get back to that DB conversation because I thought this was good catch. I'm going to put this chat up. You tell me if Colby is asking the right question here about Jahdae Barron. Says, is Jahdae fast enough for outside corner? I never really thought about him as being a speed guy. Is that the right question?
It's not a wrong question. I think I even make it, I'm even more simplistic about it, Colby. Is he just good enough? And I think that includes a lot of things, including his speed. I don't know. It's not something that we've seen a lot. I think about some of the names that we evoked earlier. Earl Thomas was a safety, right? But you think about a guy like Michael Huff or Quandre Diggs. I don't think anybody would stress with the idea of them talent-wise having the talent to go out there. I think Jahdae Barron's a very good college player. And I think his biggest fans would say he's a great player. But so let's throw it back this. What is he in the NFL? Is he a day 1 pick? No. Is he a day 2 pick? Almost certainly not at this point. If he were at that level of player, he'd have gone pros last year. So he is a day 3 talent who wants to be better than that. Now look, that could have been T'Vondre Sweat last year. Now, I think there are some people that think that had T'Vondre Sweat actually gone pro last year, that he would have been drafted higher than the likes of Keandre Coburn or fill in the blank. I'm just drawing a blank here for a second.
Murphy?
No. Someone say it for me.
What?
The not last year's tackles. The tackles from 2 years ago.
Coburn and yeah, I'm not coming up with it either.
I went to Temple.
Somebody help us. Who is it?
See, now anyway, rather than just get trapped inside of my brain malfunctioning here. When we look at Jahdae Barron, what's that?
Ojimo.
Thank you, Morrow.
Thank you, guys.
And I said he went to Temple. No, that was Taquan Graham. Boy, I got too many goddamn names in my head now, and they just bleed together. That really feels like the first old man moment of my life.
Yeah, hang on, catch. That was my bad. I didn't read that right. Ojimo!
Because there's an exclamation mark. See? Good job. Details. I don't think Jahdae Barron's a first or second day talent. So when we talk about what is he on the outside, I don't know. That's a guy that's got a chance to be first day good, second day at worst good when he departs in a few years. I think optimally you'd like to have 2 guys like that. The best Texas secondaries that have ever existed had guys like that. It was like, oh, well, one side you had Cedric Griffin. On the other side you had, Aaron Ross or Terrell Brown. I don't think Jahdae's quite at that level. So I'm interested to see. Maybe I'm wrong. He was banged up last year. Maybe Jahdae Barron's a better football player than I give him credit for. I think he's really good. I can't say he's great because I say a guy like Quandre Diggs is great or Michael Huff is great or Earl Thomas. I would actually throw a level above that. And their level of great was just higher than what we've seen from Jahdae. So I struggle to include him in that kind of category, but I don't think he's far off. I think, someone I was in a discussion with the other day said, I think he's a third round to fifth round draft pick. And I was like, okay, well, the difference between our two thoughts is that you probably think he's on the third round end of that third to fifth round draft pick. And I think he's probably on the back end of that third to fifth round kind of thing. And we're splitting hairs and to degrees of goodness. I'm really curious to see, does this open things up for him? Do we see the best of him on the outside? Which, Chad, I hate to be the guy that's like that turns a positive into a negative, but boy, if that's who we get, the best version of Jahdae Barron, he's an outside corner. Whoo, wish they could have come up with that a year ago. It makes you wonder, God, sounds like that's a decision to get the best out of him. You'd like to have seen that earlier instead of in a repeat of a senior year, but better late than never. And again, I'm very open-minded about what it may lead to, but I do have questions inside of my open-mindedness.
Michael's going after the Barron conversation too, saying if T. Brooks wasn't fast enough at outside corner last year, then what makes anyone think Barron will be good enough? He's a great star, but I don't think it's going to translate. That's obviously what they're trying to figure out. And to your point, Catch, bringing in Brooks to what you just said, right? If they would have realized, if this is ultimately where it was going, why wouldn't it have ended up there last year? Right? On some level?
Well, in the end, they misplayed their DB hand a year ago. I think they thought they were better at safety. I think they thought they were better at corner. I think they thought Ryan Watts was a level above. Now, look, Ryan Watts was a good player. That guy's on an NFL roster right now in training camp. He got drafted. He's no scrub. But I think they thought he was going to be more of a day 2 type guy than a day 3 guy. It just didn't come together for them in the secondary last year. Players, I don't think the scheme was a problem, but the players didn't play well inside of the scheme. So it's like, I don't know. It feels like you can point the finger at everybody and say everybody needed to be better last year. So this year, it's a completely different lineup. Derek Williams played some at safety last year, but that was a Jaron Thompson led production. That was, there were a lot of times on important downs where they had players that just are no longer here. Those players are going to be replaced this year. You're going to get more Malik Muhammad than you got a year ago. You're going to get Jalen Gilbo, who you weren't getting a year ago. Andrew Makuba and Michael Taff are fighting it out for that safety position. But, if Makuba becomes that guy, he wasn't here a year ago. And I'm fascinated to see what Javion Cole is made out of. That's a sub-major, that's a non-Power 5, Power 4 conference player moving up. He was one of the best corners in his conference a year ago. Now he's in Austin, and he's going to have to compete against the likes of a Kobe Black or a Jahdae Barron or even a Gavin Holmes to get on the field and be a frontline player. Is he that good? I mean, these are things that will start to reveal themselves. Can I go back to the thoughts? Because we're going to have more day 1 thoughts, and we are going to get into the Jamie French discussion, and we do have buy or sell. There's a lot still left in the show. But I went back and looked at Alex Dunlap's initial practice notes from last year, day 1.
Okay.
And then as I was scrolling down, I looked at my primary thoughts from his notes on day 1 from a year ago.
Okay.
These were my big day 1 takeaways.
Okay.
And I bring this up in an effort to properly frame the conversation that we're having today, okay? And I'm going to do these they were in no particular order, so I'm going to give them to you in no particular order, but I will give you all 5.
Okay.
Number 1, hello, Jalen Catalon. Because Jalen Catalon wasn't available in the spring.
Right.
He's kind of a ghost in the summer. That he was even there was like, oh, there's Jalen Catalon.
You know what? A legit hello. Maybe it ends up being a brief hello, but it was legit for that day, right?
It was like day 2. Goodbye, Jalen Catalon.
Oh man, that poor dude. We all know, Catch. If you could make a non-injury world, Jalen Catalon makes an impact. I mean, that dude, when he was right, we all know what it looked like. It's a shame he wasn't able to keep that, keep it figured out. But that's not on him in a way.
From 364 days ago.
Yeah.
Thought number 2. Gavin Holmes is the day 1 number 3 corner, it seems. Reason why that's kind of interesting is that that's the trend now. We now saw it with Norton. You're seeing it with Javion Cole. Their MO, when these guys come in after missing the spring, you're starting out with the 3s. So when we see Javion Cole with the threes, or even Jahdae Barron, it's not apples to apples, but when we see him on a day 3, I think it's a reminder this is their new MO. This is kind of what they do. So don't overreact and go, number 3. Don't turn into a Fraggle. Like, just that's one for the kids.
Don't turn into a Fraggle. Don't go Boobo or Goober or Boober.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
Here's another one from day 1. Jamon Tapp with the 2s. That's encouraging. I mean, it was, but then he transferred in the spring. So how encouraging in retrospect could it be?
What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours.
Number 4, Justice Finkley behind Sorrell, as we discussed yesterday.
Now that stayed consistent.
Guess what? Justin Finkley's still behind Sorrell.
Yes. Daddy Sorrell would verify that.
And then number 1, the very first thought that I had on my list, although, again, I didn't rank them, the offensive line was exactly as expected. Andre Kojo at left tackle ahead of Peyton Kirkland surprised me a little. In retrospect, a year later, makes sense. Kojo still in the program. Kirkland no longer in the program.
There you are. By the way, our man Cody Carpentier says all you need to do is just replace Tapp with Finkley and post it this year. Cody says you're ready to go. It's good. You save yourself some ink on that one.
Except that was encouraging a year ago. Finkley behind Sorrell this year, not so encouraging. You know what was really interesting, low-key, was that they officially had Ethan Burke. They didn't roll Burke out as the first team edge partnered with Sorrell. They had Burke second and Trey Moore running with the 1s. I think we've all discussed it. Burke and Sorrell will split a lot of reps. That Texas just likes to rotate their ends a lot. So, man, a Sorrell-Burke rotation is really strong. I mean, it's hard to think that there are a ton of SEC teams that have a better 1-2 punch. In fact, I'm not even sure that the 1's the 2 or the 2's the 1. They're both really good. But, in the name of Ethan Burke as a returning starter, having the appearance of you're running with the 1s, they could have put him ahead of Trey Moore for appearances, just to say, you're a first-team player. But as they did with Jahdae Barron, there was some comfort in, hey, you're with the 2s. It's not a big deal. We're not going to make it a big deal, but you're going to be where you're going to be. And it felt like yesterday, based on – and look, they'll move Burke around. He will play some opposite with Sorrell. There will be packages where those two guys are on the field together for sure. But it was interesting that they've got that kind of wattage officially on that side. And it was a reminder that Trey Moore, they brought that guy in because they thought he was going to be a difference maker. And you'd like to think that going into his 16th practice, the coaches start to think of him as a difference maker. And his placement with the first team yesterday, kind of an example of the coaches are where they are with him, exactly where you would want to be with him. If he hadn't been with the first team, I think one of the things that we would be showing up talking about today is, hey, Trey Moore is still not a first teamer. What do we make of that? When he ends up on the first team, it's probably worth mentioning that had that not been listed that way, I think we'd be talking about it today.
Clay, we see your super chat. We're going to get right to that. Before it, we want to thank everybody who's jumped in to the Specs chat today. Here's Lisa.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Thanks to Specs for their great partnership. That Specs chat is always there for you. $4.99 from Clay. Since we're officially in August and camp has started, it seems appropriate to address the elephant in the room. Will Ketch retire the maroon shirt? Again, not maroon. It's not crimson. We're going to call it the Arizona Sand shirt. Catch, are you going to retire Arizona Sand, or does it continue to provide weird good luck?
It's as if Clay is screaming at me right now that he doesn't know me. The best way for that shirt, whatever color we give it,
Arizona Sand.
just stop talking about it. The moment you start telling me that you want me to do something, that makes me feel like you're demanding that I conform.
Yeah, and if you type an exclamation point, I'll scream it, and then he really won't do it. I promise.
I struggle with being asked to be a conformist.
This is true.
It's just I'm self-aware enough to know that that's part of my DNA. It's frustrating. Like you're trying to aggravate me, Clay. I know what you're doing.
Come on, Clay.
You. I see.
Catch for the record, buy or sell. About a year ago, someone defiantly said you'd never hire an Aggie, and that's why I'm here. Buy or sell.
Sell. But that has since been said. It wasn't even on the market. It wasn't even a suggestion a year ago.
No.
Then after it happened, people were like, no.
Yeah.
Catch might do a lot of things. There's no Aggie on Orange Bloods Live. No.
Oh, they told me earlier in the week they were scared. Who the hell is this guy? But hopefully I've calmed him down a little bit.
Well, now that you're reading exclamation marks, yes.
Right. Yes. I was building up. I figured if I was screaming at the beginning, it might flip him out a little bit. All right, let's see. What else is here in the chat to clean off? Real quick on Jahdae Barron. Barron went to high school with my daughter. Hope he has a great year. Mr. 512, from the dude perspective, that does seem like a cool dude. Just hanging out around him at SEC Media Days, Catch. Just sharp-dressed man, well-spoken, dealt with questions, we'll kind of work in that media group and everything. He seems like a cool guy. Easy guy to root for.
Easy. The thing is, sometimes people will confuse I think he was very good but not great as being a hater. Oh, you don't like the guy. No, I hope Jahdae Barron is a first-team All-American this year.
Yeah.
Like, I want nothing but the best for him. He's an easy guy to root for. I just, I don't come on and do these shows and just think. I never think out loud to myself, I need to tell the people what they want to hear. That's just not how I'm wired. And I think the Jahdae Barron discussion is a perfect example. Because I think if I came on these shows and served as Jahdae Barron's hype man, I think 99% of our viewers would have no trouble with that whatsoever. But the fact that I only think he's been very good to very good, but never great, that's not always what people want to hear. But it's my promise to you is you will always get an authentic version of me, even when whatever comes out of my mouth is borderline to non-borderline unpopular.
Mr. 512, we appreciate that chat. All right, Catch. I know we were talking about some practice stuff on the defensive side. You want to get into some of the receiver stuff? You want to get into some of the recruiting stuff from today?
Oh, let's do this. Let's be people. Let's be men of the people.
Men of the people.
In the chat right now, if you want us to continue the football discussion, hit us with an F. If you want us to segue into Jamie French, hit us with 2 Fs.
Oh, I like that. That's clever. Well done.
And we'll see what the first 5 to 10 responses look like. What happened? Why am I solo? I don't need this.
I'm just giving you a solo clap.
You're giving me a solo clap because of the F.
That is good. Whoa. What just happened? What did he just do? Catch just disabled himself trying to make a joke. What was that? Catch, what'd you do? I swear I didn't do that. That wasn't me. I didn't do it. Did anybody else just hear F? That's what I just heard. That was weird. Oh, I see. He's probably reading all these things. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
There's F. There's FF. Now I hear you, but I don't see you.
My camera's disabled.
You got disabled. Let's do this. This is the weirdest version. Can I? Oh no, I can't do it. It won't even let me. It won't let me just put you on the screen if you have no video. It'll let me do that. Oh, there we go. Back of your computer. That's cool. Dude, that's bad. That's like last night, Chance Mott gave us a shot of his setup like that, but we didn't actually put it on the show. That was great. For a second, look at that. What's that, a candle over there?
It is a candle.
That is weird. There you are. Hey, it's Catch's shirt. It's Catch's hand and shirt.
It won't recognize the camera that I was just on.
Oh my God, that was weird. You asked him for Fs and FFs, and it just messed up the whole thing. Oh
Chad,
my God.
Okay, so Chad, it's telling me it's unable to access my camera.
That's fantastic.
You can hear me though.
I can hear you. I can
We're
absolutely
back to
hear you.
the same problem that we had yesterday.
It feels like although I feel like you're on your regular microphone, it just needs to be, just needs to be checked. And for the record, once you get back, I feel like there's been more double Fs than single Fs. If we can get you back, that view is just, can I just get some love for that view? That's so good. That is the weirdest view I think I've ever seen. There's a weird box in the corner. Like that is odd. That is wonderfully odd.
I don't even know where that camera is.
Oh, somebody's figured it out. Yes, this is Catch's OnlyFans camera. That's right. This is what he uses for his OnlyFans. You see that? You see that upper left hand, that chin? People pay money just so Jeff will sit there and they can stare at his chin for hours.
You should see the foot show.
Exactly. That's how he gets a little money on the side to pay me. That's how it works. That's it. Please.
Okay, Chad, I'm gonna try to figure this out. And when we come back, Jamie French.
Yes, you do that. That is fantastic. Oh my God. All right. While he is doing that, someone was asking about, what was that question? Hang on, hold on. There was something in the chat that we were going to get into. While he's doing that, let me just hit Hayes City Store, because we got to do it at some point, because we got to tell you to get out to Hayes City Store. Look, it is Thursday. We're into August now. Look, I know it's hot out there, but out at Hayes City Store, they've got the misters if it's super hot. They've got the ice house, that great covered ice house. They got the great shaded area in kind of the main seating area out by the stage. They also have inside seating at Hayes City Store. Just get your reservation in and check it out. Now my phone is, whose phone is ringing? Is that me? Oh, okay. That's interesting. All right. Hold on. Let's, I'm going to turn that down. I didn't know I had the ringer. Hold on. Let's get the ringer. That was weird. Very strange. And of all things, Kevin Dunn. Interesting. All right. Hayes City Store. They're out there in Driftwood for you between Kyle and Wimberley. Get on out there for the incredible chicken fried steak, for the amazing drinks, the incredible desserts. If I haven't mentioned the dessert in a while, it's the best key lime pie I've ever had in my life. So if you're into key lime, do that. There's also something called Barry's Heaven. We order it every time we're out there. Never disappoints, ever. And then all the little specialty drinks are great. I love vodka, and they have like a vodka martini that is excellent to start with. I love the beer out there. A lot of times I'll do that. I'll do like a vodka drink, and then I'll do a lager drink. And then, no, I don't do all 4 drinks from the song, but I'll do those first 2. Hayes City Store is a perfect way for you to, go out, have a good time with friends or family, and then you're going to be ready for the season. They do have some screens with games on out there too, if you want to go out during the season and check it out. Travis and Tamara are huge Longhorn fans, so they'll definitely have Longhorn games on. Check them out at Hayes City Store. All right, I think Catch has gotten it figured out. Let's hold our breath. Catch, are we good?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you're there. I can see you. I see you. So I think
back.
We're good. Whew,
I don't know what happened, Chad.
You had too many Fs, I think. You asked for F or FF, and then I heard you say F, and you were gone. It was really strange. I think on a quick scan, I think I saw more double Fs than single Fs.
There were definitely more double Fs.
More double Fs. So that would lead us to Jamie French. Don't forget that second F in his name. Jamie French, stud out of Florida. Catch, what's the latest on that badass 5-star that the Longhorns want?
Well, this is actually kind of fun and funny because it makes me look like a jackass. But I tried to take a couple of days off earlier this week. In fact, I didn't do the show on Monday or Tuesday. I came back yesterday. So I think on Monday, while I was trying to take a day off, the Miami Rivals site caught up with Jamie French. I didn't see that update when it came out. Late last night, I saw Jamie French retweet that article on his social media. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, our Miami site with the Rivals Network, they got Jamie French on the record talking about the visits that he took this past weekend to both LSU and Miami. And, you know, as Jamie French gets closer to announcing his decision at the end of August, he's been a guy that everybody agrees that his recruitment won't be over when he commits, that he can commit on August 30th all he wants to, but September, October, November, and then into December will, you know, I've had people tell me almost you could make a case that the worst thing that could happen is to get his August commitment, because if you assume he's going to change his mind a couple of times, best not use your positioning in the commitment order by being first. So that being established, he said in this update that LSU and Miami were his top two schools. And I mean, he just flat out said it. Mm-hmm. Now, I think what's really interesting about that is that we know that when he told people that Texas was his number one school, suddenly everybody started to say things like, nobody can beat Texas. And then he started to go out of his way to say, I don't have a leader. Texas isn't my leader. Everybody behind the scenes still saying, oh, Texas is still his leader. But he's definitely a guy that when he gets to announcement date, he wants there to be intrigue.
Yeah. So, Catch real quick. Could he also be a guy that just kind of has that recency bias where we talked about, I think it was Zion Williams. It was talked about the D tackle out of Lufkin that everywhere he went said was great. Every visit went great. Could Jamie French just be a guy that as long as it's a pretty good feeling, that's his leader because it's the last thing he remembers?
Sure. And he likes to take visits. He likes all of the schools that he's looking at. I don't think he likes to tell anybody no. So what he said in this article was, quote, these two are the leaders for sure, talking about Miami and LSU because he took visits those weekends, last weekend. Those schools are family-oriented, and I'm big on family. The thing is, he said the reason why he likes Texas back in the day is that they're family-oriented, and he's big on family. So I wouldn't look at that and say, oh, well, that's it. It's Miami and LSU, and I guess that's that. I think he's going out of his way to murky up the water a little bit. But you also can't absolutely ignore that he's saying that those are his top two schools. So you almost have to be somewhere in the middle. You can't be overconfident. You can't be, in a position where you're ready to quit. Somewhere in there, in those attitudes in the middle, is probably where you need to be with Jamie French. But we've been saying it for a couple of weeks. And look, I can remember when I was in Jacksonville and I said, look, there are people here who know Jamie French well, who think Texas is the leader. But you can also talk to another person who knows Jamie French who will say, yeah, when it's all said and done, it wouldn't shock me if he just ended up at Miami. He's got a teammate at Miami who just committed. He's got another teammate who's on the team from a year ago. They've got connections there that would make it easy for him to feel like it's family. So I don't know. We'll see. The saga continues with Jamie French. I will say this. He is in a category of player that Texas has not put the pedal to the metal yet with NIL. And I don't think it will happen this month. He's going to commit at the end of this month. And I don't think Texas is quite ready to give them their big sales pitch. Now, we can argue about whether or not that strategy is the right strategy or the wrong strategy. I continue to tell you, and Steve Sarkisian echoed these comments when he spoke on the record about this. What was it, a week ago at the Texas High School Coaches Association? Mm-hmm. They're not stressed. They're not worried. They think they have the right plan. They will not panic over anything that happens in August. The feeling inside the Texas football facility as it relates to recruiting is that October and November will matter most this year in recruiting and not July and August. Consequently, I think with everyone left on the table, and maybe even some guys that have recently committed not to Texas, they are not going to give their A-plus offer on what's available on NIL until they get closer to signing day. I think they feel like the worst thing that they can do is reveal their cards if they don't have to. They're going to, and they feel like their cards will be the best cards. But they do not want to reveal those cards now. And I think, the easiest explanation for why that is they don't want to give the teams, the schools that they will be competing against for signatures on signing day, more time to counter what Texas will eventually explain to these young men what's available to them in the way of NIL. I think the only guy where that will probably be different is with Michael Fasusi. But the sense that I've got is that in the next 30 days or so, the plan isn't to hit these guys with the final sales pitch. I think they want to wait. I think they feel very good about their positioning. And Jamie French is a guy that they're all in on. They're trying to bring into the fray, but I don't think they're going to they're not going to reveal all of their cards to Jamie French in August. And might that impact what he does in August? Maybe. But Texas isn't worried about that. They're worried about where their positioning will be in October and November. And believe me, if we get to October and November and Jamie French is committed to Miami and then Texas can't crack the door and get back in on him, we'll look back on the discussions that we had in late July and early August and say, you know what? They got it wrong. You know what? They misread the temperature in the room. But in real time, it's impossible to do that. You got to give them some benefit of the doubt. They have handled this the last couple of years in top 5, top 3 in the country kind of manner. And oh, by the way, they just flipped a defensive tackle from Oregon, Josiah Sharma, a week ago. And he was part of that when he committed last month. There were a lot of Texas people who said, we think that guy wants to go to Texas. We think when it's all said and done, he will end up at Texas. The finish line isn't in sight yet, but as of a week ago when he flipped his commitment, they were more right than they were wrong. So it is a tricky conversation to have, Chad, because everybody wants in real time immediate gratification. I cannot promise that any gratification will eventually occur, but I'm telling you that they're not. It reminds me of that scene in Braveheart where Mel Gibson's telling them to hold their position, and the other army's getting closer and closer and closer, and everybody's starting to kind of pee their pants a little bit, and he's just telling them, hold it, and then at the right time, they spring their trap, which had they not held it, it wouldn't have been the same trap, and everything kind of falls apart from there. It feels like Texas's NIL and recruiting strategy is a little bit like that. They're telling each other, hold the line, don't reveal your positioning, and you have to hold it to a very specific time. And we're not at that time yet. And I can tell you, based on what I've been told, that will not happen in the month of August. They're not planning. I've been told there's probably a Michael Fasusi exception. But everything else, they're not budging from this belief that the right time to take some of this action is not during these summer months.
All right, Kat, since you were talking about, you've mentioned him here, and there's a couple things we could hit recruiting-wise to remind people of. We haven't discussed it yet. You do realize we get a special Kalik Lockett recruiting show next week. You realize this, right? 12 noon next Wednesday. Thank you, Kalik, if we haven't said it publicly yet. Next Wednesday, when Kalik Lockett decides, it's right at 12, so they'll be right at the beginning of our show. And then as someone pointed out on the chat here, Colby says, what about Michael Fasusi? Any news about him? Only 3 weeks away until it's a commitment. It's 3 weeks from yesterday because he's the 21st. So 2 weeks after Kalik Lockett will be Michael Fasusi. Catch, you kind of just got into it, but you're thinking that 3 weeks from yesterday, that if there's one guy the Longhorn coaches might push a little harder on, might lean a little harder on into NIL if they need to, it is Fasusi for now. And others, they'll wait for later.
Michael Fasusi is the most important prospect on the board. Period. Now, we could argue pre-DeCorian Moore's commitment was he. We could argue the same thing with Riley Pettijohn. If we wanted to get into positional scarcity and we could argue a variety of guys that should be number one on the board. Fasusi's the number one guy. He's going to get number one guy treatment the same way DeCorian Moore did. I mean, Texas hasn't – there's a huge scope of prospect players and what will NIL opportunities look like for them. Everybody will have that, but I think that there are guys they're making exceptions for, true exceptions to the rule. And I think there's a feeling like, okay, let's not mess around with the Fasusi thing. That – where we think Jamie French may change his mind a couple of times between September 1st and signing day, I think there's a real risk that if you do that with Fasusi, if you assume that you can wait until the end to get it done, you may be assuming wrong. And so I think knowing that his date is on the 21st, I don't think there's going to be any real pussyfooting around with we'll wait until November to reveal our cards with Fasusi. I think there's a real sense of urgency to get that done. I will have more in the war room later tonight than what I'm going to talk about here in this show, in part because I've got to do some follow-up with sourcing. I'm in the middle of a few text message exchanges, and I haven't fully gotten all the information out of those text message exchanges that I want to on this subject material. What's really interesting about Fasusi is that I think both Texas and Oklahoma feel like they're going to get him.
Man, that war room sounds like an interesting thing. If only there was a way we could get people to – oh, there it is.
For free, Chad, for free.
60-day free trial. Hang on. Let me move Colby out of the way so we can see it perfectly. Colby, thank you so much for the Fasusi chat. 2 months free. 60-day free trial. Your promo code is JOINOB24. When you hear Ket say War Room, that's every Thursday night. All the nuggets, all the news, all the pieces of info you want. And if you don't think there's going to be a robust War Room after 2 full days of practice, you're nuts. You got to check that out. Join OB24. And again, this offer is good through Monday. So get it taken care of before the weekend is over. It is just that simple. Lots of recruiting stuff to go with Lockett next Wednesday, with Fasusi 2 Wednesdays from that. 3 days after Fasusi, it's Jonah Williams. And 6 days after that, it's Jamie French, who we started this discussion with today. So lots of stuff to hit recruiting-wise. We do have a lot of good chats. There wasn't a super chat until this one. Thank you, Russell. $4.99. Send the recruits with Catch to the Yellow Rose. It's a done deal. Boom.
Can I tell you a Yellow Rose story?
Of course you can.
I feel like after 20 years, it's not like committing a murder where they'll still get you after 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like after 20 years, is a recruiting story occurs, you can probably just tell that story.
Oh, wow. So this is you and a recruiting story at Yellow Rose.
I used to live like 2 blocks from the Yellow Rose.
God love you.
2 blocks.
That's good.
It was like 6602 Grover or something like that. But I had a corner house on Grover and whatever that street that the Yellow Rose is on going out to Lamar.
Towards Lamar, right? Okay.
Style Switch is on that corner.
Yeah. You live right there. Okay,
I live 2 blocks down the road. Okay.
That's great.
So I may have been, let me put it to you like this. The Yellow Rose was close enough that it would have been very easy to even go in on Christmas Day just to see what's going on.
That has always been a weird, sick dream of mine. I've never done that, but it's got to be a scene.
If you're 2 blocks away and you hit a lull and you have family in from out of town who are heathens and they're like, hey, was that a strip club 2 blocks away? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, well, dinner's not going to be ready for a couple of hours. We've already opened up presents. Let's go see what's going on. And maybe you go.
Yeah.
I was in the Yellow Rose the night that most of Chance Mock's recruiting class was at the Yellow Rose on their official visits.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, and you'd have to ask Chance this, if I remember correctly, Chance did not make it to the Yellow Rose.
Okay. Because he was being studious and he was probably watching film.
In bed.
Watching film.
Tucked in with a glass of milk and cookies by then.
Darn
okay?
Right. Yeah. We got you 5.
But Roy Williams was there.
And
why do I remember that, right? Why Roy Williams over anybody else in the Yellow Rose that night on this recruiting visit? Because I witnessed from across the room. I was not like, in the end, I went there for a show and then I just watched recruits because it was entertaining. It's always entertaining to watch underage kids handle a strip club. Somebody bought Roy Williams a lap dance.
Yes.
And Roy just did not know what to do. You've never seen a more freaked out 18-year-old get a strip club dance than Roy Williams, who looked like a kid from West Texas that grew up in a certain type of eco-socioeconomic like set of standards and come into Austin and having like a big boo blonde lady like sit on his lap exploded his brain. And I may have been at the other side of the club, but close enough to witness it and like laugh my ass off.
Jeff Ketchum witnesses history with one of the best Texas receivers ever.
And look, Roy Williams does not drink. I don't think Roy Williams has ever had a drink. So my guess is Roy Williams has never been asked about that. But wow. I bet if someone did, I bet if Roy Williams came on the show and said, Ketch told this, did you go to the Yellow Rose on your official visit when you were a high school recruit? My guess is if he's willing to tell the truth, he will admit that he did. And I bet he remembers that.
Yeah. Whatever you do, Ketch, from now on, whether you decide to tell these stories or not, I would not say that one line to an officer ever. There's nothing better than watching an underage kid deal with a lap. Don't say that out loud ever again.
At a strip club.
At a strip club. Don't ever say it that way again. It's not going to work.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Not going to work. Russell.
I was just there. I was just there.
That is fantastic.
It was like one of the long things. Like it was Don King, the former like general manager, owner of the Yellow Rose. The dude literally had a website that was active that had pictures of UT football prospects on their visits. Did you ever see that, Chad?
No, I never did.
Don had his own website. And on the website, he had pictures. So it's not exactly the biggest secret of all time.
Right.
That the only thing I'm telling you is I remember that night specifically because of one guy's uncomfortableness. I would have totally forgotten it if he'd have been handsy. That he was frightened beyond compare made me remember that night.
That is fantastic. All right, Catch. First off, we want to thank Michael for this chat. Michael says, smash that like button for our two beloved bald guys. Sorry, my bad. Hang on. Let me try that again. Michael says, smash that like button for our two beloved bald guys. Thank you, Michael. Yes, $20 well spent. No doubt. $20 for a story that lasts a lifetime.
Thank you for whoever spent the $20.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Hey, I am not, look, Chance will probably have Roy on the show again this year.
Yeah, we had Roy on the Outsiders last year. I don't believe that question was asked, but yeah,
I'm okay with it being asked, is all I'm saying.
Roy is so wonderfully chill. Like
he's
there's
in
such
his
a
40s
chill.
now. He'll be okay with talking about it.
Yeah, he's great. He would talk about it. He absolutely would talk about that.
I bet,
all right.
I'm telling you, he hasn't probably been reminded of that in 25 years. But I'm betting money that he remembers because he doesn't drink.
Right.
You know, like he doesn't intake things that I'm aware of that would cause any short-term or long-term memory issues. So if you were 18 or 17 or however old he would have been and you were in that position, wouldn't you remember that? Because I remember my first lap dance.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean,
so if that was his first lap dance, how do you forget that?
Yeah, I don't think you could. Yeah, you're not forgetting that. Especially, no.
And it's been 25 years. What are they going to do? Is Matt going to get in trouble at North Carolina? No. Like we're beyond the statute of limitations on these things.
Why are those NCAA guys over there? What? Roy who? What?
Can you imagine how mad Mac would have been thinking to himself, I thought I got rid of Jeff Ketchum a decade ago. Why is he haunting me?
That Jeff Ketchum son of a bitch coming back? Oh, my God. Good Lord. I told you. Sally, I told you. Sally, I told you he'd get us. Yeah. All right. Catch. We do have some chats we can get to. If you want to throw us a super chat, it'll go right on top when we're done with buy or sell. If you're ready to buy or sell, are you ready to go?
This isn't fair.
What? Every time I get on this live, Catch is never talking football. You got to refocus him. LOL. You know what, Ashley? If that is you in the picture, your smile always looks so casual, so comfortable, like you're good with, like, hey, let's just live. That's what Catch is doing. You're happening to catch the non-football moments, but, we love all the moments.
The whole first hour of the show.
You're hearing football. You're not being honest with yourself just because he went into it. Look, Roy Williams was getting the lap dance. That's a football story.
He's a former All-American.
He's talking football. Come on. That's football stuff. Ashley.
I was talking recruiting visits.
Yeah. That's okay. Ashley, I think literally this might be the first week that she's been joining the show consistently. So she used to it.
Ashley does have a pretty smile.
She does. Every time I see Ashley's picture, it makes me smile because she looks all like she's just enjoying it. So, Ashley, we appreciate you being there.
Photogenic, which now now we're truly distracted from football.
Yeah, it's your
fault. Sending us chats. Your smile can distract both of us.
It's your fault, Ashley. Your fault. All right. Are you ready for a little buy or sell? In theory.
Yes, in theory. I only have written out 2 questions.
Okay. Do we need
I've been so dedicated to the show and
of course.
Engaged.
Would you like to vamp a little? Do you want to vamp a conversation and you're going to come up with 3 other questions and multitask, or are we just going to go?
If you go first, I will answer questions and add questions as I go.
Boy, that's interesting. Okay, we'll see if that works, because in my buy or sell today, I'm going to see if you can come up with some sports trivia, but you got to get all 4 parts of it right. We'll see if you can do that. But first, Catch, we will go to Longhorn practice. Buy or sell number 1. After day 1, Jahdae Barron's rep numbers and position move into your top thing to watch.
Ooh. Football discussion question, Ashley. The top thing, number one.
Top thing. It's moved into the number one thing on your mind.
So it's up there.
Mm-hmm.
I still think I'm wide receiver centric most.
Okay.
When I can just say when Alex was doing Football with Friends yesterday, my brain was on because I had seen where he had reported that Bond was behind, that Silas Bolden was working behind Isaiah Bond. Too many goddamn names. First and last names. As I've proven already in the show today when I forgot Moro Ajomo. I'm going to be really curious every day where the wide receivers are lining up. And because, Chad, regardless of where they line up, for you, the best three receivers on the team are who?
Cook, Bond, and Bolden.
Exactly. I'm with you on that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, somebody's got to move into that slot because DeAndre Moore is the first team slot, and he's been the first team slot since the spring. But I don't think he's one of the best three wide receivers on the team. But in the name of getting Jahdae Barron on the field with Jalen Gilbo in the secondary, in the name of getting your five best guys on the field together, at some point, is somebody else really going to start? They moved Matthew Golden into the slot, but he's not one of those three guys. Isaiah Bond makes the most sense. We've personally asked Silas Bolden about moving inside, and he said, look, I'll do anything. They want to move me inside, they can move me inside, but I'm an outside guy. Isaiah Bond is a guy that spent 60% of his snaps last year at the slot at Alabama. Texas has not pushed that button yet. But if Cook, Bolden, and Bond are your top three, then something's got to change there. And that's why it's still number one for me.
This is fascinating. I think it's the first time I've ever heard you talk your way all the way through a discussion that leads us directly into the next buy or sell. Now you're ready to answer. Buy or sell number two. Cook, Moore, and Bond got the first reps. You think they will also get the first snap in game one?
Buy.
Okay.
Because
DeAndre Moore.
this thing that I'm looking for in August can't actually happen until September. That maybe ultimately who's starting in October is going to be so predicated by what happens on the field in games that they'll just ride this out. That, look, if DeAndre Moore gets the start in week one, but then someone takes his job, they'll be able to say, look, man, you started the season as a starter, and performance in games is the reason why someone else eventually became the starter there. So I think the easiest thing for them to do would be roll out those three and then rotate. And look, if Silas Bolden catches a couple of touchdown passes in the opener, then suddenly it makes sense why you would play him a lot more in Ann Arbor. So yeah, I'll buy that. Because I think there's a real sneaky chance that Sark's going to wait until September to make some wide receiver decisions. And in the meantime, he might just go with what he has.
All right, Catch. Let's get to some birthdays, and we'll start in the world of music. Buy or sell number three. Chuck D is 64 years old today. If I could take you back, you'd rather see Public Enemy in their prime than Wu-Tang.
Buy.
Okay.
I love Chuck D. I really like Flavor Flav, right? I mean, he was a novelty when I was a kid. When I was in high school, it was easy to like Flavor Flav because he was kind of kooky. But Chuck D was always pretty hardcore. I like Public Enemy more than I like Wu-Tang.
Okay.
I've I think I was very big into Southern rap when Wu-Tang really became a thing. And I was just so into my Southern rapness that when it came to East Coast rap, it ranked third behind West Coast and Southern rap.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wasn't the biggest Wu-Tang fan ever. Like, I appreciate Wu-Tang. And, I understand the Cream references and all of that, but I'm just
right.
If I had to pick one, I would love to see Chuck D in his Chuck D Primest, just being militant and just, letting loose with it.
Yeah, it would be wild. By the way, just for the record, when you say Southern rap back then, Houston and Atlanta are the two main areas it's coming out of. Is there anywhere else?
But I get into some Memphis rap.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, a lot of Houston, UGK, Outkast. Right. Those have always been probably among my two favorite. Then you throw in the West Coast. I wasn't super East Coast back in the day, which meant I wasn't always the biggest Biggie fan. I wasn't, I definitely wasn't into like Diddy before he was Diddy, when he was just Puffy. I was always into different areas of the country a little more than those guys. So it's always clouded my nostalgia for a lot of those acts.
All right,
but I love Public Enemy.
Catch, I might get you in trouble with Texas fans, but before I do that, it is quiz time, and I should tell you, I did not pass this test. I did not get 100 on this quiz.
Give me your test.
Let's see if you do. Buy or sell number 4. Stacey Augmon is 56 today. Okay. You can name the other 4 starters for the 1990 championship game whipping of Duke by UNLV.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Anderson Hunt.
True.
Augmon.
Right.
Larry Johnson.
Correct.
The point guard. Well, let me get Moses Scurry out of the way.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Who? Why can't I say the name of the little guy with the glasses that's ultimately maybe more famous than everybody but Larry Johnson? Greg Anthony.
There you go.
So I'm missing the 5th?
You're missing the one guy, and this is the one I didn't get either. I guessed a different name that was actually on a different team. It wasn't technically on the team, and because I believe the guy you mentioned, I believe he technically came off the bench that night.
Oh, they had the white guy.
This is a name I just couldn't come up with.
Didn't they have a guy whose name was H. Waldman?
No, I like the name, though. That is good. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
David Butler?
Okay, I remember who David Butler was, but if you given me 10 more guesses, I wouldn't have guessed that. So I'm glad we ended that when we did.
I had George Ackles in my head. Ackles broke his wrist or foot or something and missed that whole season. Ackles was on the next team and not on that team. So I mixed that part up. But yeah, I thought I could do it easily, and I couldn't.
I thought it was Moses Scurry for sure.
Happy birthday to Stacey Augmon. He was my favorite of those guys. Who was your favorite of the UNLV guys? Mine was Augmon.
I mean, Larry Johnson was pretty incredible.
Yeah, you were a grandmama guy.
And I liked no, I did not like Grandmama. My boy Chris Marshall loved He loved Larry Johnson. Loved it. And the whole Grandmama thing, I didn't like. I was way more into UNLV Larry Johnson than I was into NBA version of Larry Johnson.
Gotcha.
All right, Kat. It was Larry Johnson to me. And then when he became the cartoon character, I've always liked Larry Johnson, but the thing is, when your friend loves something, it's kind of cool to hate the thing your friend loves.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly.
I can remember my friend Chris loved Michigan basketball. He loved Chris Webber.
Right.
So you can imagine what I did in high school the morning after the North Carolina game. My boy Chris had had an 8 a.m. class. So he had a 0-hour class and meant
Did you do this a lot?
in the doorway where there's the little window. I'm like, hey, Chris. And when he looked at me, I gave him the timeout. He was not happy.
Yeah, no, that's well done.
That was a dick.
Totally well played on your part. Well deserved. All right. And finally, Catch, let me see if I can get you in trouble. Speaking of being a dick, let me see if I can get you in trouble with Texas fans here. Buy or sell number 5. Quentin Coriat is 54 years old today. For you, his hit on the TCU wide receiver is a better hit than either of the Bryant Westbrook classics.
Buy. And look, it's okay. Look, I was on the field for both of the Westbrook hits.
That's cool.
I mean, I was standing on the right sideline for the Leland McElroy hit, and I was on the Texas sideline for the Randy Kinder hit.
Oh, God.
I remember them. It's one of those, like, I remember where Randy Kinder got up, man. Leland McElroy got up.
That's
Quentin Coriat legitimately felt like he almost killed that guy. And and not only do I remember the Westbrook hits, I can remember working at KI42 TV when they happened, and we synced the hits up with the Canon. So we had this video of the hits where every time we would play that hit, you would hear
well
it's
done.
Still not the same as what Quentin Coriat did to the TCU guy.
Okay, fair enough. There you go.
If you were ever going to say, show me a hit on a football field where you thought legitimately someone, if someone told you, have you ever seen somebody get killed on a football field? The Coriat hit is the closest thing I think I've ever been to where it's like, oh no, he killed that guy.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Texas fans, if you have any bad feelings towards Catch after that, it's my fault. That's totally my fault. I did that.
Texas fans can't disagree with that.
I wouldn't think so, but it's just, again, I'm too close.
Broke it. He didn't kill the guy. He just broke his face. Split down the middle, man.
Yeah, 3 play. Apparently, I read last night it was 3 different places on the jaw, including vertically right there. Yeah,
that's crazy. Not what happened to Randy Kinder.
No, that is not. That's a good point. Great way to say it. All right, that's my buy or sell, Catch. What do you got?
I don't have all 5 of my questions ready to go, but while you're answering some of these questions, I'll come up with other questions.
Fair enough.
Buy or sell number 1. Nothing we've talked about today as it relates to Texas football will matter in November.
Sell, because everything is important. These shows are solid gold. And of course it will matter. Of course it will. It's a sell. Nothing's a big word there. That's a big word carrying a lot of weight. Something we talk about today will matter, even if it's Roy Williams getting the lap dance at Yellow Rose. I'm selling.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Buy or sell number 2. Jamie French will be a Longhorn in December. Signing day.
Jamie French will be a Longhorn in December. I am going to sell, Catch. I'm going to say Lockett and a flipped DeCorian Moore will be Longhorns. French won't.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a hot take.
I'm going to say French takes both his F's to like Baton Rouge. Fancy name, fancy spelling, Mardi Gras fanciness. Let's do that. But I'm going to say Texas gets the other 2 guys.
Buy or sell number 3. We haven't talked about this. You don't want me to give you any Olympic spoilers during the show.
Buy. I would prefer that, yes.
So what are you doing? You're going to wait till prime time?
It's going to be kind of a mixture because when I'm done with the show, my dad and I are going to be working outside and my mom is recording stuff. So yes, in a perfect world, it wouldn't be till like afternoon, evening, maybe even nighttime. So I would appreciate it if you wouldn't say anything bye. Somebody put something in the chat while you were gone. I mentioned it early that I didn't want anything spoiled, and somebody literally spoiled it right at the end without knowing. So yeah, that was tough, but I'm going to buy. Yeah.
Because I'm watching the gold medal channel.
I understand. Yes, but buy. If I would like for no spoilers if you could.
Because I just saw the Simone Biles result from today.
I see.
You would rather me not spoil that.
That is true.
Okay. Buy or sell number. I hadn't asked.
Yeah, that's
and
okay.
Now protocol's been put. I need protocols, Chad.
I got you. Yeah.
And it's better for me to ask about the protocol than to assume you don't want protocols.
Yeah.
I'm growing as a human being by asking that.
I am still terrified you're about to give me a spoiler. So if you could get to the next one quickly, that'd be great.
You know what? I'm going to move on to the next one, mainly because next one's all about me. So you don't have to worry about how it might impact you.
Okay, fair enough.
Buy or sell number 4. I shouldn't worry about my Phillies being swept by the Yankees yesterday.
Remind me where the series was.
It was in Philadelphia.
Okay, then
Two of the games were lost by 1 run.
Okay.
One the 12th inning.
I'll still say sell because it was at home. If it was at Yankee Stadium, I'd say buy. I mean, you shouldn't worry about your Phillies. Not a major worry. I'd put a mild concern on it. You got swept at home by a team that's had their ups and downs this year. That's not a phenomenal baseball team. They've had inconsistencies, and you at one point this year have been watching your team look really badass. A really badass team shouldn't be getting swept by that team at home. So I'm going to say a little bit of a sell.
Finally, buy or sell number 5. Didn't have time to type this in. The only buy or sell question that doesn't get it up on the screen. But the Cowboys are relying on DeMarvion Overshown quite a bit going into this season. Mm-hmm. Missed all of last year with the ACL injury. They lose Sam Williams, not the same position, but they lose a guy they were already counting on going into this season. Buy or sell? You're a little concerned at just how much it sounds like the Cowboys are going to rely on a redshirt freshman rookie, DeMarvion Overshown, for the 2024 Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a buy. It's one of those, it's a buy that there's a difference between buy and I am not shocked as a fan. But yeah, that's a buy. Of course, it is a concern. I didn't love seeing the Sam Williams thing, but yeah, that's a buy. It just feels we are talking about this transition of, head coach stays the same, but now you are changing offensive play call, defensive play call. You're changing your DC up. How's all that going to look? How's all of that being put together? And the overarching feeling of the Dallas Cowboys is they don't cover all the details, and they don't get the most badass version of the most badass NFL guy to play badass NFL positions. So it's a buy. They kind of it feels like they're trying to get by with something, and that's not how you win in the NFL.
All I could think about during that entire answer was I have to go like another week and a half without spoiling something from the Olympics. Like now I feel pressure.
Now it's
because I saw a headline from Texas women swimming and diving.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it said that Aaron Gamel had anchored the 4x200 relay team with Ledke and Madden and another Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it had said she had anchored them to a medal. And I was like, oh, well, that's Longhorn news, but apparently I can't bring it up because now Chad doesn't want Olympic spoilers. But then what I actually saw was that that's about to happen.
Oh.
So it's okay for me to say that later today, there will be a Longhorn on the 4x2 with Katie Ledke, of all people, going for gold for the U.S. women. So
Nice.
I feel like that's a way of me getting my Olympic in
without.
I'm fearful now that Mama Hastings is going to hear something that comes out of my mouth, and usually that's not a worry, even when the worst things come out of my mouth. But suddenly, the pressure of the Hastings household on my shoulders.
It's real. It is real. We do have a few chats that we didn't get to earlier. Catch, is there something in particular you want to end up with today? We talked about first day of practice. We hit some of the DB stuff. Maybe a little bit of the receiver discussion was there. And then we talked about French and some recruiting. Anything else that is in your brain you need to empty out today?
Oh, let's just run through the positions a little bit.
Okay.
We won't leave anything unsaid.
All right.
There really wasn't a lot to take in from the quarterbacks, which I think is kind of interesting. Sark made a comment after practice about you can feel that Ewers is going into year 3. There's a comfort level there. I don't know that he got into real specifics, and I don't know that there's a whole lot that you can completely take away from that comment. But it wasn't Arch Manning central. I mean, you and I now are creeping up on 2 full hours. That's the first time his name has been mentioned. It sometimes feels like that's an impossibility. How could that be true? We have, because believe me, by the end of the week, we might have Arch Manning on a graphic. But not today. Running backs, nothing crazy other than Christian Clark, the true freshman, was hobbled enough to not freely participate in team drills. There's a hierarchy at running back that I think in 6 months from now, somebody's going to transfer. I mean, the reality is that running back for Texas, unless Jaden Blue has a monster season and goes pro, everybody's coming back this year. A year ago, we didn't know that Jonathan Brooks would be the player that he was, and we didn't know that he would leave early for the NFL draft. But the opportunity existed in theory. Other than Blue going big, there's nobody on the roster at running back that is draft eligible. So no matter how big of a season CJ Baxter has, he'll be back. Right? Unless somebody tempts him through the portal. We've not seen anything remotely close to that happen thus far with the players that Texas wants to keep. So at this point, that's a very remote possibility. So it feels like you could return Blue, you could return Baxter, you could return Wisner, you're going to return Christian Clark, and you're going to return, every running back on the roster right now. So I think that if you're Clark, feels pretty likely that 1, 2, and 3 are going to be in whatever order you want to proclaim how they'll finish the year. But it feels like Baxter, Blue, and Trey Wisner are the top 3. There's a battle between Gibson and Clark. I think for positioning, maybe even going into next year. But it's not crazy to think that we could get to the end of next spring and the player between those two guys that's behind the other might have an eye on the portal simply because, it sucks being 4th or 5th on the depth chart. So I watched Christian Clark being who I'm the president of the fan club of. I watched him not fully active yesterday, and my brain immediately went, well, in this little mini battle that he's having with Gibson, advantage Gibson because he's available. So that's kind of my only running back thought is that, boy, they got a lot of running backs. And they're going to want to play all of those guys, but it's going to be really hard. So who's 4th and 5th on a list that's 5 deep is worth keeping an eye on. And yesterday, the lack of availability for Christian Clark, it may end up being nothing. But my initial thought related to the running backs was simply, okay, take a mental note. As camp starts, Clark's not 100% available. how important is that? I don't know, but it was the thing. It was the thing that crossed my mind. We talked about wide receivers, tight ends. Interesting that Jeff Banks and Kyle Flood mentioned Juan Davis on Tuesday. Interesting that yesterday Juan Davis was essentially the number 2 tight end along with Gunnar Helm, and that Amari Niblack was running with the third team or was the third tight end. Now, look, I think we all know that eventually Amari Niblack's going to have a pretty important role on this team. I don't think they brought him in from Alabama to be the third tight end. But, Juan Davis has been a nothing part of this team and this program through the first 4 seasons that he's had. It may be that in this last year, he carves out, I don't know how substantial of a role, but some role. And I think that's good on him. We're seeing in college football less and less Juan Davises. Guys that going into their 4th or 5th year have just hung in there and haven't looked into the portal, haven't left for more playing time. And he feels like a guy that has had a mini light switch flip on. The coaches clearly are happy with where he is. Keep an eye on him. If that guy's good enough to be the number 2 tight end at Texas, this is going to sound like my hottest take of the day, Chad. But if Juan Davis is legitimately second tight end good at Texas, that probably means he's good enough to get a shot in the NFL. And nobody's ever thought of Juan Davis in the last 4 years as future pro. But if he carves out a role in that fashion, because I think Gunnar Helm's a future pro. I think Amari Niblack is a future pro. To what degrees? I don't know. But I think they're going to earn a paycheck, at least one, on Sunday. By the way, I just hit my keyboard accidentally again. I got to just pick this damn thing up and move it over here because I don't want the camera to be disabled or whatever the hell I did earlier.
F.
Just disabled the show. The second day in a row. That's really weird, Chad. We may have to talk about this after it's over with.
I know.
My camera just disappeared except for the one facing the candle. By the way, I did find that camera. I was just going to hold it up in front of my face there for a little bit. Offensive line, no real hot takes, no real surprises. Maybe the only being that as camp starts, Brandon Baker's third team right tackle. When you think about it, though, he's behind a guy who's a year older. And if it were reversed, you'd be telling the guy that would be behind him that you're behind a tree. You've lost your positioning to a younger player. You're screaming at that guy. You're going to have to transfer. So the way the offensive line was positioned, there were no real surprises. Defensive line, no real surprises. The guys that are on campus day one that have been there the longest are ranked higher on the depth chart. So Bill Norton comes in. He's working with the third team tackles. I don't expect that to change. But this coaching staff has made it very clear over the last 2 years that when you are a transfer and you show up, no matter how much NIL you make, no matter how much is expected of you, eventually you will start your first practice on the third team offense or defense. So we saw that with Norton. So we'll wait. How long does it take Bill Norton to climb up the defensive tackle hierarchy? Same with Jermaine Lole. Nothing really at ends, nothing really at linebacker. And we've talked about the secondary quite a bit. The punting game, believe me, I'm not going to do that, Chad. But from what Jason and Alex and Anwar said about the punt game on day one, it was very hit or miss, very inconsistent, that the freshman they're counting on at times looked really good and at times looked like a true freshman. Shocker. No need to go into that diatribe again, but I'll just merely say that after day one, that looked like a spot that a true veteran presence wouldn't have hurt.
There you go. All right. There's Catch's thoughts on practice stuff. Let's clean off these chats real quick before we head out. By the way, I like this.
Don't make me say anything about the Olympics, people.
No, we won't do that. Jeep Rex says, Chad, true or false? Your dad is Indiana Jones.
How cool is that?
Catch does call this the Indiana Jones background, but that is false. If my dad was cast in that movie, he'd look all right in the hat. He would not be near as good with the whip. He might get himself to the moment at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but that boulder would crush him. I mean, it'd be like a 20-minute movie. I don't think Doc Hastings is surviving the boulder.
Do you know the other room that it kind of could be?
No. Who's that?
I mean, real quick, turn around before I say it. Turn around and look at what's behind you. What do you got?
Right. Got the ship.
And what else?
Got the maps of Texas and stuff.
So maps and a ship.
Maps and a ship. It could be like Magellan's background. It could be Christopher Columbus's background. Is that where you were going?
What if I said
Captain Jack Sparrow's background?
You're getting closer.
Long John Silver's background.
What if I told you to do the chuckle shuffle?
Oh, good God. Do the chuckle shuffle. I know I'm supposed to know that reference, and I don't. I'm sorry.
The Goonies.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You're making a Goonies reference, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They go into the attic, they find all the maps.
That's it.
And then when they eventually find One-Eyed Willie, it's on a ship.
I forget you are in that club of people like my wife that just love the Goonies. That movie.
Tell your wife that I made a Goonies reference on the show today, and that it was in response to your backdrop. And she will be tickle pink.
So you're saying this could be One-Eyed Willie's background?
No, I'm saying
or the Goonies.
It looks a little bit like the Goonies, the family. I can't remember what their last name was, but that family had an attic. And in the attic, they had a bunch of cool old-looking maps.
There you go.
And then eventually they found One-Eyed Willie's ship.
We got to get you and my wife in a movie theater to like rewatch the Goonies. Like do like an anniversary.
Oh man, I've seen the Goonies so many times. I was trying to think of, the whole thing with the chuckle shuffle is he doesn't want to do it. So
right,
they're like, do it. But I didn't think you would get that.
Yeah, she is. She's absolutely in love with that movie. All right, a couple other quick ones. Let's see. This was early in the show. ZOV said that second wide receiver group sounds scarier than the ones. The second group is Wingo, Golden, and Bolden.
And he's right. That does seem like a scarier group.
Feels scary. Now, Catch, you mentioned
why is that, Chad? Why do we think that is? What makes that second group scarier than the first group?
I would say what you've seen already out of Golden and Bolden, especially Bolden, and the freakishness that Wingo's already showed you. That combination feels pretty dangerous.
You're right, but the other thing I was going to point out is Golden, there's a third guy in the group. I think deep down we look at DeAndre Moore, and we don't mean to discredit him.
Yeah.
We don't mean to act like he's not on the level of these other guys. But he hasn't done it in a game. He doesn't bring a 5-star pedigree like either Wingo or Cook. He's a little bit less than that as a prospect. So I think either DeAndre Moore is really good and we just are not giving that guy enough respect, or our gut instincts are telling us that that's a position that needs to be better. And I will say this about DeAndre Moore. While he started every practice in the spring there in the slot, throughout the spring, I had somebody tell me that Jonte Cook had a day where he was the best player among the wide receivers. There was a day or more than one day when that was Ryan Wingo. There was more than one day where that was Isaiah Bond. There was Matthew Golden had a day or two like that. The only guy in that among that top 5 group that at no point in the spring did anybody tell either me or somebody on our staff, so a site source, say that DeAndre Moore looked like the best wide receiver on the team. That hasn't happened yet, whereas that has happened with all of these other guys. I'm curious to see if DeAndre Moore has one of those days this week, this month, where there's a moment in August where somebody goes, holy shit, you know who people aren't talking about enough? DeAndre Moore. Yeah. Because I think when we talk about this exact kind of comment, I think it's partly because when we say Bond, Cook, and Moore, we really just are hearing Bond and Cook. Yes. We're not putting any value to DeAndre Moore being in that group of three. And where we say Wingo and Bolden, we're like, okay, well, those guys all kind of cancel each other out. But there's a frame of reference with Matthew Golden that gives that group just a little bit more of oomph that I don't think DeAndre Moore does. And I think the coaches would tell us, you guys are batshit crazy. He's really, really good, but he's a guy that we haven't seen it in any form. He didn't have a big spring game. So it wasn't like, oh, remember the spring game? It wasn't quite like that. So, you know, I think that we may be doing a disservice to DeAndre Moore, and I'm fascinated to see if he continues to take off or eventually he's the weakest link in that trio of three starters. And if somebody has to be elevated and somebody has to go down, I'm curious of what that pecking order. I think most of us assume that Moore would be the one to go down, but maybe that's not fair.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you an inside question. You referenced Bond earlier, and we know the percentages at Bama for Bond was more slot than outside. Now he's outside so far, again, one day of practice for Texas. Golden was inside, and I felt like people were saying that was a surprise to them. What were the breakdown numbers at Houston? Was Golden more on the outside at Houston?
No. Look, no, I mean, not as much as Bond was at Alabama. And I think this is where it's like, let's just wait and see what happens.
Okay.
Because I'm not completely convinced. I had people tell me during in the last couple of weeks that there's a very good chance that Bolden might take Cook's job. But yesterday he lined up behind Bond. It kind of makes me wonder whether or not we're going to see a lot of different mixing and matching at wide receiver before. You know what I thought Sark said that was most, you know, we haven't talked about. Sark made a comment that I think we all need to remember in our brains. How about I give you that? Okay. So this is from Anwar's reporting yesterday. And in this reporting, you know, he's got all the commentary that Sark says. Sark was talked about the training camp format. I think this is really educational, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it's going to, well, let me read you the quote, and then we'll talk about what we think it means. This is Sarkisian on the training camp format this season. Quote, we'll go through the first week and a half, and then we'll have a scrimmage a week from Saturday. So what's that Saturday, Chad? What's the date? Do you know? If today's the 1st, so that means on August 9th.
Yep.
They're going to have their first scrimmage, okay?
August 10th.
August 10th is a Saturday?
10th is a Saturday because the 3rd is this Saturday.
So August 10th, they're going to have their first scrimmage. And he says, that'll be our first scrimmage at DKR. That'll be everybody's kind of getting their shot. Everybody's going to play in that scrimmage. That'll kind of set a little bit of the 3 deep. You'll start to get a little bit of a field.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. He says, we'll practice again. This is all direct quotes. Quote, we'll practice again. We'll have another scrimmage that following Saturday, 17th, right?
17th, 2 weeks from kick.
He then says, quote, and at that point, we'll have a pretty good idea of the depth chart. Those last 2 weeks, we will start to taper down, start getting into some of the game plan stuff, and getting the guys ready to play, end quote. So I think this is really informative and important. What do we take out of those set of comments?
It sounds like everything from now up to that first Saturday scrimmage are the battles. The battles are going on. If you want your position, you get it you get it before or on August 10th.
Bingo. 16 days starting today. Not yesterday, but today's the 1st. From this moment on, 16 days remain for every guy on this team that's got a hope. I want to be in the 2 deep. I want to be a starter. I want to be the number 1 starter. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Get it done in the next 16 days, because on the 18th of August, they're going to be thinking 2 weeks ahead more than they're thinking, oh, maybe we need to be giving this guy more reps. The time to earn that is right freaking now.
Right now.
And if you waste that opportunity, you might not get it again the rest of the season. These next 16 days for the overwhelming majority of the roster is everything.
Yeah, and it lays out pretty well if you think about it. This 9 days before that first scrimmage, in those 9 days, the fights, the battles, you get to that moment, scrimmage is done, catch, and then you can lay out that first depth chart idea for the team. We probably won't see anything at that point, but they would, right? Lay it all out for them. Put it on a board. Put them in a meeting room. Put it all on a board and say, fellas, this is where we are right now. And 1 week from now is when it really starts to go in pen. So if you have bitching, if you have moaning, if you have griping to do about, I can't believe this guy, show us. You got 1 more week, and then we got to start getting ready for Colorado State.
That first scrimmage so we're 9 days away. That first scrimmage is the most important one, because you're right. They're putting together, he tells us after the first scrimmage, we'll put together a bit of a 3 deep, and then we'll like laser focus into what's the 2 deep after scrimmage number 2. He calls that first scrimmage the show me scrimmage. He says everybody will play in that scrimmage. Well, he didn't say that about the second scrimmage.
Yeah,
and
right.
He didn't say that about anything that happens beyond that second scrimmage. So even though it's day 2 and it feels really, really early, and we're saying things like, don't overreact to anything that happens on the first day of camp, we also need to stress there's like 9 days left for everybody on this roster to make their big impression on this staff. And it might be as simple as, if you're in the gray areas of, is this guy a second teamer? Is he a starter? If there's a question mark around your name and you don't provide a strong answer in scrimmage number 1, you might be dead man walking on the 2 deep and just not know it. It can't stress it enough. In 9 days, the biggest inter-squad moment of the year will take place. And on the day of that scrimmage, we'll tell everybody, don't freak out by anything that happens, right? But deep down, we also need to know that whatever does happen in that scrimmage is going to be a big part of how the coaches make decisions on a number of players. And, take a mental note. If on August 10th, DeAndre Moore has a 2-touchdown scrimmage, jackpot for DeAndre Moore.
Mm-hmm.
If DeAndre Moore doesn't, but Matthew Golden does, I think the coaches are going to walk away from that going, you know what? We brought in Matthew Golden for a reason. And he's making touchdown plays in scrimmages. That has to matter. And so everybody circle that Saturday, because whatever the hell is reported on that Saturday by us or any of our competitors or the coaches, if Sarkisian comes out of that first scrimmage and goes, you know who kicked ass today? Jaden Blue. We all need to be like going, okay. Yeah. He's telling us something here. He's telling us on August 1st that August 10th is really important.
Yeah, it's a great point. Something else we didn't talk about earlier, Catch, is the return game. And as you've been saying all these names of receivers, that's the other thing. If you're a Texas fan, the amount of like freakish talent they've got to try at return is interesting. I saw some of Jason's notes yesterday about Bolden and Golden both being impressive in the return game. I'm seeing Jonte Cook's name in the return game. I think Wisner is involved in a mix in certain return. Like the return game, we won't get to see it truly until the first game because it's hard to rep that. But man, there's going to be talent back there returning kicks and punts.
I almost had an aneurysm because Sark's comments about the return game was that, you know what, based on what our opponents apply from a strategy. So, okay, we're gonna play Michigan, and the scouting report on Michigan and their punt game is that they do this. Sarkisian suggested rather than just have a punt guy or two punt guys, that they got a squad of punt guys, and that depending on what the other team likes to do, it'll impact the strategy of who gets used on the punt return team. And I thought, that's really freaking advanced prep. Like that is trying to find an edge in the smallest margins possible in a way that I like. I'm like, that.
You know what that. Yeah. You know what that is? That's like the first time we heard the idea that Bill Belichick was changing his defense every week based on the other team. Remember the first time you heard that? You're like, wait, what? You're not just running like your defense? Oh, no. We change it every week depending on the opponent. It's
well,
like, wow.
It did. When I heard that, I was like, oh, so you really do care about special teams to such a degree that you actually have that as a thought, but you're running out of true freshmen at punter, and it didn't occur to anybody that like having a second option might have been a good idea.
That is a great contrast this year, Ket. Think about it. The level of expertise and experience for the Texas punt returner is going to always be like that. But the level of experience for the Texas punter is going to be like maybe right there.
We're just not going to punt that much. Okay.
That's the plan, boys. Don't punt. Okay. Fair enough. How do you help your third down conversion? Just convert second down. Okay, cool. Fair enough. That could work. That could work. Logan jumping in the chat.
But I just want to say this real quick, Chad.
Thank you, Logan.
Just to finish that off. When people are like, Catch, you're just looking for problems. You're overthinking things. No, I'm thinking about the punt team exactly the way Sark is talking about the punt return team. I'm applying the same level of how much resource are we going to put into having this thing be really good. That's all I'm doing. I'm saying I'm thinking about that the same way Sark thinks about punt returns. My only expectation is that they would think about the punt game as much as they've clearly thought about the punt return game. That's it.
No, it's fair. It's totally fair. All right, let's see. As we're cleaning things out, first off, get well to SRone45 in bed sick watching the show. I don't know. We've never had a report from a sick person watching the show. We hope we help you out. It reminds me
of the joke that Anwar told in the team's channel today about COVID. Did you see that?
Oh, yes. That was good. It's like, okay, I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but sure. Whatever helps you sleep. Whatever helps you sleep. Catch, one more defensive question here. It's kind of where we started, so maybe we're sort of ending with it. But Chad, Catch, is Makuba still going to start? I was rooting for the ex-LBJ Jaguar. I'm rooting for him too, Vivek. I dig that family story. What about Makuba, Catch?
First day of practice, he's a transfer. They have a guy that I think they're very protective of in Michael Taft that has a lot of respect on the team. He's a good player. So, I don't think Makuba is in that class of Bond and Moore, who absolutely, no doubt about it, took starting jobs during the spring. I think I expect that by the time we get to practice number 15 that Makuba will be working with the ones, but there's work to be done. Michael Taft is a good enough football player that it shouldn't have shocked anybody that he would be with the ones on day one, that Makuba would be with the twos. And I think that's the coach's message to Makuba of saying, need more from you, big boy. That whatever you're going to be for us, you aren't a starter by default. And this goes back to Sarkisian saying he thinks this is the most talented roster that he's had since he's been at Texas. I mean, if that's the case, you can't just snub good players. You have to, if they're going to either win or lose jobs, it's got to be earned. And I think it's a natural starting point. And it wouldn't surprise me if by practice 4 or 5, that looks a little bit different. But keep in mind, August 10th, if Makuba isn't making plays and asserting himself by the 10th, then Michael Taft will probably be the starter by week 1. They're going to expect Makuba to be performing at a higher level.
Vivek, thank you for that chat. Also, this one of the other themes of today's show, if you're watching the end of the show, maybe you're jumping in, you're watching live, was that I need to do a better job of reading the chats and dealing with the chats. Let's just make sure we get this out from Jay, because he's one of my favorite chatters. Yesterday, I said I played at Michigan on Heisman. Chad stopped and skipped Heisman like my sentence was wrong. What he didn't know was that Heisman is the skill level and an important context. Jay, as I'm remembering that moment, and I do remember it, I remember reading the word Heisman.
You did.
And I think you inverted the I and the E, so it made my brain hitch for a second. But I think I read the word Heisman. I certainly understood what you meant. I'm not a video game freak by any stretch.
You mentioned that it was Heisman. What we didn't do is stop the show and say, everybody, just so you know, Heisman is the highest mode.
But I understood what you meant, Jay. I understood what you meant. I may not have processed it the right way, but I did understand it. But thank you.
Now, in defending you, Chad, can I just say what Jay wants to say, but he didn't say?
Sure.
Stop being an asshole.
There it is. There it is. Yep. There you go.
Read it.
There it is. Got to read it. You got to read it. I'll read this one. $4.99 from Barb's 10. Checked yesterday's tape at 117 mark. Catch, you did say ass play. Can't slip that past me. LOL. Oh, they're going back and listening carefully. Catch. I appreciate that.
Was that a remark? Well, remind me, where did that, was that? We were talking about hotness of.
You were discussing all of the pictures you believe.
Oh, that's right. The camera. You know what? In the last 24 hours, not as much ass play in the last 24 hours.
There it is. There it is, Barb.
People apparently have been complaining because I haven't seen as much of it.
That is fantastic. Let's see. What else? The only other chat I wanted to get to is an easy buy or sell for me, Catch. I want to see what you do with it. Jefferson says buy or sell. Step Brothers is better than grown-ups.
That's insulting to Step Brothers, Jefferson, to even put grown-ups in the same sentence with Step Brothers. Step Brothers it's like Casablanca of comedies. Grown-ups is not. Simple as that. Yes. So it is better than grown-ups. I'm also buying the idea, how dare you, Jefferson, for insulting Step Brothers. I've never heard a person even mention that they've rewatched Grown-ups.
All right. You know what? I'm not sure if I could add any extra feelings to that. You expressed.
I'm not trying to insult Jefferson, but he insulted Step Brothers.
I agree with every single word you just said. I don't know if I could add anything to it without having to go into my feelings about grown-ups. I'll be a better man than that. I'll be respectful to the Adam Sandler classic, and we will move on. We will move on. Jefferson.
I'm just saying, I will stand on the table for Step Brothers and Captain, my captain to Step Brothers.
Yeah. I think this is ultimately Mark is agreeing with you and ultimately me. Grown-ups isn't even close to as good. Mark, I think that's an easy way to say it. That's a really simple way to say that.
If Jefferson wanted to come back and say Grown-ups is better than Little Nicky, well, now we got a conversation. Jefferson. I would say it's not better than Little Nicky, but it's a conversation.
Yeah, look, see, Jefferson's like Step Brothers is my favorite comedy, bro. See, Jefferson, you love it so much, you just thought you'd throw anything on the other side. That's what you did. You wanted to make sure your favorite movie was going to win. So
Look,
that's what you reset.
If we want to have a real conversation, you want to have an adult, full-grown adult conversation. Step Brothers is better than Superbad. Go.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a man's game right there.
That's a man's game.
But Jefferson's trying to highlight his movie. He knew that Superbad would give it a little bit of a battle, so he wanted to kind of, he wanted to really stack the deck in Step Brothers' favor.
I will put my balls on your drum set if you're not careful.
What's the skating movie with Will Ferrell and John Hader? What's that thing called? Blades of Glory?
Yes.
That's what he should have done. He should have done Step Brothers is better than Blades of Glory.
No, he shouldn't have. I'd have had the exact same response.
Like it was a battle. It was really a battle. That would have been great. Jefferson, thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Let me scan
Jefferson
here and see.
Says, wow, now look. I don't know that you need to hate Adam Sandler.
No. And I don't hate Adam Sandler. I just think there's some of his movies, some of them I just haven't seen yet, but then some of them I just think are, they're okay. They're okay to me, but they're not all-timers. There are people that lose their mind for grown-ups and grown-ups too. They'll tell you they're both great. They'll tell you they're both, I just kind of let them have their deal.
Who's standing on the table for grown-ups?
It is just, I feel like here's what I think. I think people, and I'm in this category on the base level, people that vacation with pools that are above ground and people that vacation with ropes that swing into a lake, these are the people that really get into grown-ups. And I am in that group, except that movie just doesn't do a lot for me. But I just don't respond well to the ingredients of that movie. I don't respond well to here comes the criticism. Let's lean really heavy on Rob Schneider's weird and Kevin James is a little bit overweight. Get it? Like, let's make the whole movie that, and let's ignore the fact that one of the greatest comedians of all time is in the movie, but we're going to make him a total side character, and we will not let him do what he does well, and you'll barely know he's there. Cool? Good. Action. That's what they did to me. That's why I don't like that movie.
My problem is with that movie, he's got the wrong supporting cast. So eventually Adam Sandler got so big and famous that he could have all of his most famous friends in the movie together and afford it. What he needed were his grandma boys friends.
That's a good call.
He needed all of the guys that were in Grandma's Boy, the Nick Swartzens of the world.
Yep.
The guy that plays Alex,
that would have helped.
Young Jonah Hill.
That would have helped.
He needed to bring those guys. The guy that plays Dante, the drug dealer, his name is actually Peter Dante.
Yes.
All of those guys that were in all of the movies that made him famous. His little clique of guys. At some point, he gave up on those guys. And he started putting Kevin James in his movies when that needed to be, the guy that played Dante, the drug dealer, or, all of the guys that were in Little Nicky. I wonder if Little Nicky killed that crew.
Yeah. It may have.
I don't know. Little Nicky. And I'll stand on the table for Little Nicky, but that is not a movie that has aged well, even if I'll stand on the table for it. And people didn't like it at the time when it came out. It is an acquired taste.
Yeah, I agree. I've never seen Little Nicky. I'll take your word for it. I'll watch it at some point. But yeah, with me, just the way that movie deals with the comedic talent of Kevin James versus the comedic talent of Chris Rock, that's where they miss. That is totally where that movie misses for me. I do not get it. And by the way, Rex is absolutely right. Me railing on the above ground pool while sitting in a house in front of a boat in a glass box, that is irony. You're absolutely right.
He's not wrong. Right. Can I read you the one sentence IMDb explanation for the movie Little Nicky?
Sure.
After two of the devil's three sons escape hell to wreak havoc on earth, the devil must send his third son, the mild-mannered Nicky, to bring them back before it's too late.
I'll check it out before I watch Grown Ups again. No doubt. No doubt. That's just me, though. I agree with this chat. Grandma's Boy is a classic. Yes, Gabe. For those of you that haven't seen Grandma's Boy, and especially if you're really bizarre, go check that out. It is good. And I disagree with this chat. Damien, we just think you're wrong. You can think it, but that's cool.
Damien.
Way better is heavier. That's a heavier thing.
Come on.
Here's what Damien means, Catch. This is what he means. Damien means it's time to watch a movie. Family is over. Grandma is literally sitting in the corner. There are kids present, and the choices are stepbrothers and grown-ups. What's the movie that will get everybody through it with the least amount of resistance? That answer is Grown-Ups. That doesn't make it a better movie to me, but that's what Damien is saying. Damien's just trying to get through like a family event.
That comment, Chad, from Damien, I referenced my boy Chris Marshall a couple of times on the show already today. I mentioned his love for Chris Webber and how I taunted him the day after the timeout game.
Yep.
My boy Chris Marshall, who I love, and I need to call. I remember when he and I went to go see Bad Boys 2. And walking out of the theater, my boy Chris said the following words: I think Bad Boys 2 is the greatest movie ever made. At which point I remember walking out thinking, I really enjoyed Bad Boys 2, but you literally just said the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That is that feeling, that recency thing. We like to do that all the time. I love when people would do that with every Star Wars movie. Had to be the best Star Wars movie ever made when they walked out. But to go to that level, Catch, I love Gabrielle Union. I do. I love Gabrielle Union. I love her in that movie, and I love that movie. But yeah, that is a silly thing to say. I don't even know why you'd think to say that. That is a great, because all you have to do is go, wait. Bad Boys 2 is better than Casablanca. It's better than The Grapes of Wrath. It's better than what are we doing? What do we Lawrence of Arabia? People think that's
Bad Boys 2 might be the best of the Bad Boys franchise.
Now, that may very well be true. Great villain, Gabrielle Union. The action's awesome. Yes.
But
I think it is the best
come out of Bad Boys 2 saying, I thought The Godfather Part 2 is the best sequel to any movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. But step aside, Al Pacino and De Niro. You have been one-upped by
Mike Lowry. Mike Lowry took you out. Come on, man. That's so good. Oh, I love that somehow we've devolved into weird movie discussions today. Movie, TV. Look at all the weird stuff in the chat now. Catch, this feels way too nerdy for us to get into. A Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, man. Jefferson went all caps.
All caps. Lord of the Rings will forever be better than The Hobbit, and it's not even going down. Whoa. I don't even know what's happening over there, Jefferson.
Hey, no, but what are you doing? What are you doing? You're on and off and on and off.
Sorry, I was trying to get rid of it, and then
He's not wrong, except for the part where he says it's peak cinema.
Yeah. Jefferson, you can have all of both. I haven't seen a second of either one, and I don't have any need.
Wait, what?
I have any need to see any of those movies. Do I need to see them? I've not seen them. You're looking at me probably like my dad would look at me. My child has now seen some of these movies. I've never seen them. I'm not a Lord of the Rings dude. I'm not a Hobbit guy.
Well, how do you know? You've never seen them.
I've been forced to watch 2 of the Harry Potters. They're all right, but I haven't seen all those yet. Yeah, I'm not a big Tada guy when it comes to that stuff. I'm not like a Tada epic.
I'm not a big Tada. You haven't seen the movies?
No, I know. I haven't seen them. No, I understand. I've seen trailers. I've known enough of the stories to know. It's not
Tada.
It's not my thing. Okay, there's no magic in the movies at all in any way.
There's no ta-da.
There are no wizards in the movie?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make it ta-da.
Well, yeah, it does. If a wizard's in the movie and there's a wand and we're doing ta-da, that's ta-da. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So anything with magic in your mind, ta-da.
Not anything. It's just if it leans heavily on the magic. Obviously, there's magic in a lot of stuff, Star Wars and some of the things I love. You just can't have too much.
Star Wars, ta-da.
You can't lean too hard on it.
Why do you hate science fiction?
I don't hate science fiction.
Why do you hate science? It's okay to just say the thing you want to say. You hate science fiction.
That's the thing. I like some science fiction. This particular type of science fiction.
What science fiction do you like?
I haven't gotten into this particular.
Give me an example of science fiction. And by the way, Jefferson is right.
Yes. Gandalf has a staff.
No wand. There's no wand.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Apologize.
Yes. The two examples are he laid them out. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I know the names of the stories. I've never read any of it, and I've never seen any of the movies. Chad thinks a wizard is a magician. Well, yeah. I mean, a magician with legitimate powers, right? Not a magician that's trying to fool me. It's a wizard. If they got magic, they got powers, there's wands, or they're, whatever it is. It's a wand, it's a hand gesture, it's something like that. Yes. There's a big moment, right? And how do they save the day? They save the day with ta-da, with magic. Sometimes that's not my thing. If I'm wrong, then I may be missing the greatest movie of my life. I just haven't done it yet. It's the Force, not magic. Right, exactly. Jefferson, is that a Star Wars nerd defense? I think it is. It's the Force, it's not magic. What are you talking about? Yeah. See, and that's why Jefferson and everybody else, that's one of the reasons I love Han Solo so much in Star Wars. He helps to balance out the magic for me. There's a bunch of folks leaning on the magic. Han Solo's the one going, whoa, what? What are you talking about? The Force. Explain this to me. I'm that guy, and that's why I love Han Solo. As long as do we have a Han Solo in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit going, wait. You think the ring is magical? Like, do we have that? If we got that, I might be willing to watch. Now Catch is giving up.
Well,
I'm so sorry. This may be why the show doesn't need to go past 2:00 right here. We may need to really start cutting it too, right? This may need to be good. It's a good thing. Look at this. I've gotten a.
You don't even know what this means, but Chad, you need to know that Gandalf beats the shit out of orcs with a staff.
That's good. Wow. I got that shame. Is that what that was? We got super. Y'all have been so boring. Thank you, Jared. That's what we're trying to do.
Avatar?
Do what?
What is in his avatar? Is that Ram Man?
It looks like a cartoon version of Jeff Jarrett to me. Doesn't it? Is that what I'm seeing? Am I seeing that wrong? It looks like a cartoon of Double J. What?
No, there's no guitar in the avatar.
I'm sorry, there's no guitar.
It can't be.
All right, so I think our man Cody Carpentier Catch is trying to really fire me up here because he knows he and I've had a little bit of a discussion here. Napoleon Dynamite is better than Lord of the Rings. Come on, Cody. Come on. If those are my choices, I'll watch any and all of Lord of the Rings immediately if I need to. Good grief. Oh, that's funny. And then Colby is wondering what Ashley F is thinking about the live stream now. Yeah, Ashley's in trouble. She's been out a long time.
I mean, might as well.
We got people exiting. There's South K Index. That's it. I'm leaving. Yep, there it is. There it is. Somebody says, Team Chad, I've also never watched, nor will I. Same with Star Wars and Harry Potter. See, they're even out on Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars guy, but I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I don't know what it is. That's Cody. Oh, that's our man Cody saying I've never watched it. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. I've heard great things, though. I have heard great things.
I'm ready to say goodbye.
Hang on.
You
Good
won't let
super
me
chat,
talk
Catch.
spoilers.
$2. Old School versus Superbad versus Step Brothers. That's a good triple threat right there. Those are 3 good movies. That's high level.
I don't know that I know how to rank Step Brothers. Old School is a clear number 3 here. Although I love Old School. It's classic. Superbad versus Step Brothers feels like the 2 best comedies of the 2000s pitted up against each other.
If I'm trying to hit the widest audience possible, Catch, and I'm just trying to say who would more people agree? What would more people agree is a better movie between those 2? I agree with you. I think Old School is the bronze medal here. I think it's Superbad.
As the winner?
Yes.
I think historically it will be remembered as like that's the definitive comedy of the 2000s.
Right. It's like when I tried, like I'm a Monty Python freak. When I say, what is the better Monty Python movie, like Holy Grail or The Meaning of Life? Personally, I like The Meaning of Life, but it's weirder, it's stranger, it's more odd. And if you're going to try to hit the widest swath of people, it's Holy Grail. So the Superbad's a little bit more like, it's going to grab everybody. That's a great movie. And Step Brothers, it is also great, but it's got enough of that weirdness why it would tick it down. I put Step Brothers in second place there.
All right, so look, let's end it on a sports note.
Okay.
Texas Mud wants to know if there's an update on Deontay Foreman. For those that don't know, he was completely immobilized at practice today, put on an ambulance, and then I believe they flew him on a helicopter to practice.
Switch those around, but yes.
The Browns issued a statement that said, quote, during practice today, Browns running back Deontay Foreman sustained a direct blow to the head that resulted in neck pain. The Browns athletic training staff deployed their standard emergency action procedures to immobilize Foreman. He was taken via an ambulance and is being transported via helicopter to a medical center in Roanoke, Virginia to undergo further medical evaluation. Foreman had movement in all of his extremities. Updates will be provided as more information is received. So, all his body parts are working. It doesn't sound like he was paralyzed or anything like that. It sounds like he had neck pain, and they're treating that very seriously in 2024 in the NFL. And we'll stay tuned for more updates, but it's not life-threatening. Certainly doesn't sound nearly that bad. And our well wishes go out to Deontay Foreman. It sounds, I don't want to be so flippant to say like, oh, he's going to be okay. But it doesn't sound, when I first heard the news, I was concerned that it might be life-threatening. It doesn't sound like it's that. So all things being considered, it sounds about as good of an update as you could hope for.
Yeah, that movement of extremities is obviously the first thing you listen for, and it was great to hear that, Catch. All right, you ready to close the door here, Catch? We'll do a few things and then say goodbye, yes?
Yes.
By the way, Logan, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's kind of a way to say it. Yeah, Chad just hates wands. Kind of, yeah, wands don't really make me want to watch a movie. That's kind of a good way to say it. All right, before we get out of here, let's get you a few reminders. First off, man, over a 2.5-hour show. How about that? What are we, a Marvel movie? Stay tuned for your mid-credit scene. We've got practice starting for Texas in about 10 minutes or so from when we end this recording. So remember, orangebloods.com is your place for so much good content. Get that free trial going. Here it is once again. This is your QR code for your 60-day free trial. Join OB24. You're getting August and September for free to find out what all the fuss is about. That great message board. It's Thursday. Jump in today on a Thursday, and you're getting that first war room tonight of your free trial. You will love it. You got all the practice reports coming from this afternoon's practice. There's an evening practice tomorrow. And as Catch laid out for you, you got the scrimmages coming up and all that. You'll want to follow it along. Here's your free trial. Remember, it ends on Monday. Got to get the free trial taken care of. That code will be good for you through Monday. Join OB24. Get it taken care of. Also, remember, Football with Friends is coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. Here's your new schedule if you have not seen it. Football with Friends, 6 o'clock. They will be recapping everything that happens at practice as well and leading you right towards that war room on Orange Bloods. It'll all just seamlessly tie together. Thanks to everybody who jumped in the Specs chat and dealing with all of our craziness. Thanks to Ashley, who was enjoying the sports at the beginning. And thanks to the people that were sick in bed enjoying the weird movie comments at the end of the show. Thank you for liking and subscribing and getting your notifications. You're going to want to be here for tomorrow's show. Do you know why? Because it's birthday time tomorrow. Orange Bloods Live turns 1 year old tomorrow. We're going to get a cake. We're going to set Orange Bloods Live right in front of it. We're going to put a bib on it, and we're going to let it just mess up the cake and throw cake around and eat icing, and we're going to take pictures. It's fantastic. You're going to love it.
I have booked for tomorrow's show, Chad.
Yes.
Kevin Durant from the Olympics, Brad Pitt, and as a surprise to you,
yes,
one of our old characters from the dead.
That is exciting. That is exciting. All will be on the show tomorrow.
Maybe an Australian from the dead.
That is even better. That's even better. Trust me, if Ketch is going to talk in an Australian accent tomorrow, you're going to want to be here for that. Until tomorrow at noon for the birthday show, we are